Hey guys. Can you guys hear me? See me? I'm just wondering. There we go. Can you guys hear me? I figured I'd come in a little early because I was late last time. Jimmy, what's up? Jimmy Bobbity, Nano. Oh man, you all here. Cool. I gotta mute that other tab because it's driving me nuts. How are y'all? Wait to see if we get a couple more people before we start. I got Mark Davis coming in tonight. He's going to be interesting. He's the guy who did the analysis on the Georgia, thanks, Nano, on the Georgia 2020 voter data for the Trump legal team. And as a matter of fact, I'll let him tell his full story, but as a matter of fact, he's willing to testify right now when Fani, who now can go through, we'll get into that in a minute, but she can go through with her case because she's gonna shit can Loverboy, and I think that was a ridiculous ruling. But what's it called? He's the guy that the whole phone call thing happened, and you know that the phone call that Fannie Mae charged him with, it was Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. He actually they removed exculpatory information. Yeah, fat bomb. Yeah, he removed the exculpatory information because Trump was reading down the list of what Mark sent him. You know, he was saying, look, you got 300,000 people here who left the state and voted. You got the dead people here who voted. You got this. And he goes, just find me 11,790 out of that. And they removed all of that and just sent, just find, made it sound like, you know, Trump was ordering them to find votes, which Trump can't do. You know, anyway, if he wanted to. So they haven't even started the trial yet. Think about all the bullshit that they went through with Fani and her what the fuff the boyfriend, right? So, yeah, I know. He was saying that too. He goes, I hope my connection's okay. But he's bringing some old folks too from an old group I used to belong to in Facebook. Guys that we used to beat up the libtards with. That'll be fun to see them. But let me see. Yeah, most secure election, my ass. So let me see. I learned how to share screen. This is the first time I'm doing it without OBS. So cut me a break. Let me see. Can you guys see the screen now? I don't know. I guess you can. Yeah. All right. So we'll go over that. The Fulton County judge allows prosecutor, I should call her persecutor, Fani Willis to proceed with the case. But here's one. I don't know if you guys saw the video yesterday, but this was Laura Boebert, who I just love. I mean, sometimes she's a little over the top with the Second Amendment and all, but can you really be over the top with the Second Amendment? And so here what's happening is Ken Buck, RINO, Jade can attest to that. She's from Colorado. He had said, he announced it at the end of the year that he was, I think November, he was going to retire. And then Boebert said, no, I'm going to run. She said it back in this November. She said, I'm going to run for his seat because in her seat, I think the Democrats nearly screwed her. She won by 600 votes and there was a lot of election rigging going on, but she still won. So she wants to go into his district. And so I think the RINOs got together with the demos and they all cooked it up so that he would early retire. And so that caused a special election. Well, the big thing is that she would have to give up her seat if she wanted to go into that special election. Screening of Beetlejuice. Nice bottle of whiskey. I know she's had some, let's say some shady times. And she blamed it on, instead of saying, I want to go home and yeah, it's the uniparty. Instead of saying I want to go home and spend some time with my family, she had the opposite. But still, she votes the right way. That, guys, that's how I'm going to do it from now on. I don't really care I don't care any longer about the person. Like Bongino says, I love that guy who's running. He wore a cowboy hat. No, fuck that. You vote for results. And her vote, I think she's as close to 100% on conservative review, and there's very few that are up that high. But she votes right on everything, so I don't give a shit what they do. And the Democrats have not given a damn ever since Bill Clinton, because if you think about it, Bill Clinton was the guy who was the poster child of hate for the feminists, right? For the NOW gang, the National Organization Liberal Women. But anyway, they were now, he called them NAG, I think. Rush called them NAG, National Association of Gals. Yeah. They never said a damn thing about Clinton, and he was a serial rapist. He was a serial sexual predator, right? Well, the reason why is because they gave up on character. They don't give a shit about character. That's why George H.W. Bush lost to him, because his big argument was it's about a character. They were like, character schmaracter. We don't give a shit about that. He votes for what we want. So you had all these feminazis out there that were bitching and screaming at guys like me, and and yet he's running around, banging anything, that moves. I mean, when he goes home, the birds in the cage stop moving. I mean, seriously, and they didn't give a shit. But it turns out that she's not, and I think what's happening is the GOP in Colorado, Jay, tell me if I'm wrong. They said that, well, we're only putting one candidate up for the primary and one candidate up for the general. How you have a primary with one candidate, I don't know. But she said for the special election. She said she's going to skip the special election and then go for the general in November. And I don't know if they're going to allow her to do it. So the rhinos may come up with some rule that will really screw her over, but that would suck because she's a good vote, So here we go. Here's another good one. No, that's not it. That's not the one I wanted. Fulton County judge. Yeah, this is it. Jack Smith's case. His case is falling apart right now. Because and the reason why is because of Robert Hur, the special counsel, because of his testimony. You have universal mail-in balloting. Yeah, no possible shenanigans. Do you know, Jade, the New York Times, I think it was, when was it? Back in 2000 or something. They had done a whole investigation on mail-in ballots, and they said, oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. There's so much ripe for fraud. Now they go, it was the most pristine election we've ever had in 2020. Yeah, I'm with her 2024. Bobby, you're awesome. You make me laugh, bro. But I'm with her 2024. That's so funny. Dude, I'm going to steal that from you. I hope you don't mind. But what you call it? It turns out that Robert Hur pointed out, like the libs all said, oh no, this is it's okay, Oh, as a matter of fact, here's what I want to do. Ready? I want to play this for you. If you guys know Liberal Hive Mind, I love that guy. All right. So I want to play this if I can. Tell me if you hear it. So let me just hear that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Sometimes people ask me, why can't you let them get a win? Like, why can't you let them win? Or at least let them think that they're winning. Let them enjoy their moment. I'm mostly kidding. No one's ever asked. But it is a question that could be asked. Why don't we just let these leftoids enjoy their win?
This is great.
Or rather, their perceived win. Every week, the left is celebrating another massive win against Trump MAGA extremism. And every single week, I'm recording a video describing why this perceived Democrat win, well, isn't a win at all. Quite to the contrary. It's another big fat frickin' L, or at least foreshadowing to the inevitable coming L. And so here we go again. Gets a big loss in court. Trump-appointed judge smacks down Donald Trump appeal. It's freaking over. Every leftist on the platform promoting the same talking point. But here's the problem, as is typical with these leftoids, they're only reading the headline. They're reading the information bubble propaganda that's simply telling them what they want to hear. The reality, what's beneath the headline, well, it's a little bit different. The left is celebrating that Trump just got a huge loss in court, but the real story is Trump may have all the charges dropped against him in the documents case, as Robert Hur's report and now testimony throws a wrench in the whole damn thing. Mar-a-Lago gate is falling apart. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so you go all over Twitter, and here's what you see. Leftists celebrating. Mueller, she wrote, writes, breaking, Judge Cannon has denied Trump's motion to dismiss counts 1 to 32 on constitutional vagueness. TikTok, mother effer, with Jack Smith's face. And it's pretty much the same tweet over and over again from a bunch of Democrat accounts. It's freaking over. They keep posting Jack Smith's face, but I guess they didn't get the memo. Leftists are celebrating the headline, Trump loses appeal. Oh, well, that pretty much settles it. Cue the revival of the left's favorite talking point.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Oh, the walls are definitely closing in this time, except no, not at all. Again, it's not surprising. It's the same thing that we were expecting from the 3-panel DC court on the issue of presidential immunity. This decision was totally expected. In fact, that's not even the core of Trump's appeal. The specific appeal that was rejected was a long-shot argument that I don't think the Trump team was really taking seriously. They were probably using to just kind of muddy the waters and slow down the whole process. What they're really focused on, in terms of having the entire documents case dismissed, is the recent Robert Hur revelation, or I guess we could say report. Robert Hur essentially confirmed that Joe Biden stole classified documents. In fact, he had a history of just taking documents home with him. And not only that, but that he lied multiple times, claiming he, quote, never shared any classified information with his book's ghostwriter. We all remember when he said that, right? But then it turned out that he lied.
I did not share classified information. I did not share it. With your ghostwriter? With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
We also identified other recorded conversations during which Mr. Biden read classified information aloud to his ghostwriter.
And of course, Robert Hur pretty much confirmed that Joe Biden did in fact violate laws relating to classified information. And so since we now have that confirmation from Joe Biden's own DOJ, since we know that Joe did it but then didn't get prosecuted, the main Trump team appeal is to appeal based on selective prosecution or arbitrary enforcement. That's the new focus. And Julie Kelly, who's our source for all things Trump indictment, well, let's just say her analysis of events comes to a very different conclusion from what the Democrats are currently stating.
There were a lot of people in the courthouse today, Jesse, including Special Counsel Jack Smith and former President Donald Trump, sitting in the same courtroom again for the second time in 2 weeks. But one individual who was not there nonetheless had a major presence, and that is former Special Counsel Robert Hur, who testified earlier this week about his findings related to the willful retention, Joe Biden's willful retention of national defense information, high-level classified documents, but nonetheless, unlike Donald Trump, will face no criminal charges. Both the defense and Judge Cannon repeatedly brought up this phrase, arbitrary enforcement. It is very clear that Judge Cannon is aware of the double standard, not just with Joe Biden, but former presidents Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan, and more importantly, former vice presidents Hillary Clinton, Mike Pence, and of course, Joe Biden. My prediction, Jesse, and I make a lot of predictions on your show, she will not dismiss the 2 motions before her today, but she will, I believe it's very likely, the Judge Cannon will dismiss this case based on a pending motion for selective prosecution. It's very clear she is aware of it. She's very upset about it, as you could tell from her comments and conduct today. So that motion is pending on the docket. A hearing has not yet been scheduled, but I would not be surprised if she dismisses this entire case based on selective and biased political prosecution against one man, Donald Trump.
Quote, it is very likely, according to Julie Kelly, that Judge Cannon will dismiss the case against Donald Trump. Why, you may ask? Well, on the grounds of selective prosecution. Here's what's interesting. Judge Eileen Cannon did initially rule against Trump's appeal, but in her decision, and this is something a lot of people aren't talking about, she opened the door allowing Trump to file another additional appeal specifically on the issue of selective prosecution. In other words, her most recent ruling is essentially a grounds for a brand new appeal. You can see it right over here in the decision in connection with the court's February 22, 2024.
Guys, what he's saying is that the judge made an opening for the Trump legal team to file another appeal on selective prosecution because they did not go after Biden when he clearly broke the law, but they went after Trump who didn't break the law.
Deadline, President Trump is filing the following pretrial motions in the matter indicated. Motion to dismiss counts 1 through 32 based on presidential immunity. That was rejected. But then, of course, here, motion to dismiss the superseding indictment based on selective and vindictive prosecution via email to the court. This is the appeal that was approved and is currently pending. Judge Eileen Cannon isn't playing games at all. She's reportedly very aware of the extremely partisan look of all this, how Joe Biden gets to walk away from doing what was 10 times worse than anything Donald Trump did because he's old, frail, and doesn't have a freaking working brain. Ahead of the 2022 midterms, Joe Biden's home wasn't raided, Mar-a-Lago was. There's a clear discrepancy between how one situation is being handled as opposed to the other. There's obvious political or bias implications, and the understanding at this point is that Judge Eileen Cannon sees it very clearly, is frustrated by it, and chances are that this entire case might get thrown into the garbage very quickly here, and that's basically the takeaway from the decision that dropped today. A far cry from what Democrats are releasing on their TDS timelines. It's literally the exact opposite of what Democrats are hoping for. First off, it creates more delays. In other words, this case isn't happening ahead of the election, so that's pretty much more bad news for Jack Smith. And secondly, Trump's appeal wasn't rejected, but rather the long shot appeal was rejected, with a door opening to appeal following the special counsel Robert Hur report and testimony. But I'd probably suggest if you have any far left coworkers, family members, friends, I'd suggest just keep quiet about this one, because shocking somebody's worldview to that extent, bursting their ideological bubble that they live in, well, it could be shocking and damaging mentally. Mostly kidding. Tell every leftoid you know that the Trump cases aren't going to wrap up in time. Most of the charges are likely to get dismissed, and that we're probably headed to a massive mega Trump comeback. Tell them that instead, because that happens to be the truth. That's my half-baked legal analysis, mostly piggybacking off of the incredible work that Julie Kelly does, so go ahead and follow her on Twitter. She 100% deserves it. If you guys want to stay informed on all indictment news, follow Julie Kelly, Jonathan Turley, and Kanekoa the Great. Those are my 3 top sources. That's the video update for the Trump.
You killed that. Jeremiah, it's good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. Everybody, thank you for being here. Let me see. What did he say? This is my brother, everybody. Jimmy from Philly. It's got his own channel, and it's very unique. He just goes on, doesn't prepare anything. He just says what he wants, and it's about politics, and he just gets into it. And he's got a decent following. He's got loyal people, man. I'll bring him in a little bit. Right now, I want to go back to the Fani Willis. Hang on. Let me get up here. Let me go Fulton County Judge. Okay, we got Mark Davis is here. I'm going to bring him in. All right, Mark is the guy, like I said, he did the data analysis on the 2020 voter data in Georgia, and he gave it to the Trump team. So here we go. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Hey, your connection's good this time. Awesome.
Let's hope it stays that way. If it doesn't, y'all understand my driver acts up, and every now and then I have to adjust it.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Let me see. So on this, we have Fulton County Judge allows prosecutor Fani Willis to proceed with the Trump case. So guys, full disclosure, Mark and I were talking on the phone last night, and I made a big mistake. I thought, because people had told me that he was a Democrat because he donated to Fani, but Mark found out that no, he's more than likely a Republican. Tell them what you found out, Mark.
Well, after you and I got into our little debate over that, I got curious myself, so I went and pulled his vote history. I built an enhanced copy of the voter database for Georgia, and I've been doing it for, I guess, about 30 years now. And So I already have a profile of pretty much every voter in the state in my computer. So I just went and looked him up, and he and his wife are both what I would classify as a hard R. In other words, we don't have party registration in Georgia. We can only infer it, but we can infer it based on how people vote in primaries. And he and his wife very rarely miss an opportunity to vote in a primary. And when they do, they vote Republican. I didn't see a single Democrat vote in either one of their vote histories.
Right.
I don't think it's that. I know a lot of people get upset because he made a donation to Fani Willis, but my dad was an assistant DA in Fulton County years ago. And lawyers.
Before it was corrupt, guys.
I'm sorry?
I said before it was corrupt, guys.
No, it was corrupt then. He quit.
Yeah, but not your father. I meant the DA.
I meant the DA. Yeah, my dad only did it for a few years, and he came home one night when I was 8, raging about how corrupt Lewis Slayton was and that he quit the DA's office. And I was so proud of him. I went in the next room and I called the Atlanta Journal and Constitution and told them, and they said, "We'd really like to talk to your dad." And I went back to the next room and I said, "Hey, Dad, the AJC wants to talk to you about quitting the DA's office because Lewis Slayton's a crook."
Oh, geez.
My parents had a heart attack.
Your father was a cop before that, right?
He's a cop and a homicide detective while he was going to Emory Law School. And then when he graduated, he became assistant district attorney for Fulton County. When he quit, he went into private practice. And then later, he was the Republican nominee for governor back in '86. And that's how I wound up kind of getting involved in politics.
Right. Yeah.
But
so what I see, I'm going to make my argument and then you jump in. All right. I'll give you the floor. I think it was a bad decision because what he made, he basically said that she gets rid of Loverboy or she loses the case and it goes to a council of prosecuting attorneys and they figure out who else is going to take it if anybody wants it. And I think it was a bad decision because, number one, according to evidence in the hearings about her and Loverboy, she lied to the court. There were text messages that were given that showed that she and Wade were doing the fufta long before she hired him. Plus, you had that woman, whether you believe the woman or not, you had the text messages. So how are you supposed to trust a prosecutor that literally lied to the court, right? And we know that Nathan Wade, I don't know if Fani did. People said they did. I haven't corroborated it, but we know that Nathan Wade went to the White House to confer with the Biden administration. Now, what's that all about? God, tell me what you think of that.
Well, let me go down a little bit of a rabbit hole before we get too far into it and just try to put this into the context that I see it from. Judge McAfee is a fairly young judge. He hasn't been on the bench very long. He's in a very, very tough spot. And I think it's important to kind of keep the context in mind here. When you are a conservative attorney, you're very much running upstream, and you can catch a lot of flack from people in the legal community. You can even face retaliation. And I mean, there's been lawyers where, folks have attacked their law licenses and, all kinds of stuff. So I'm not unempathetic as far as the pressure that he was facing. I was afraid that he might do something like try to split the baby, just try to keep everybody happy. And that appears to be what he's done.
Right.
But I was really, really hoping that case goes away because there's a good chance I could end up testifying in it. Rich, you want me to read what I sent Molly this morning?
If you don't mind, guys, he's talking about Molly Hemingway from The Federalist. She wrote the book Rigged, where she talked about the 2020 election, how it was rigged. And I believe, Mark, you were the one that turned her on to my article about you, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she actually mentioned my name. This is my claim to fame. Molly actually mentioned my name in her book and has a link to my article in it, which was really cool of her to do. But go ahead. You can read it. If you don't mind, read it. I mean, if
Sure.
it doesn't get you in trouble.
I spent a lot of time talking with her when she was doing her work on her book. And I can tell y'all, she is just like you see her on TV. She's really nice. She's no different. And when you talk to her in person, I really like her. She's one of my favorite people. And when I saw her recent testimony in Congress, and the fact that she outed Jordan Fuchs as the source for that illegal recording, that was I told her she's still my hero, because that was just awesome. Nobody ever been able to pin that down before, but she did it. So now we know. But anyway, so this morning, so last night after you and I talked, I pulled that vote history, and I thought, I'm just going to send it to Molly and the crew at the Federalist. I'm sure they'd find it interesting. So
let me interrupt. Did you send her the link to my story too? Because you said you were going to. Do you remember?
That was my editor, and yes, I did.
All right, cool. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So anyway, that discussion you and I have wound up sparking a email exchange that kind of went back and forth. But this morning when the verdict came in, I'll read you what I sent Molly.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like the case will be moving forward, and the odds I may end up testifying have apparently gone up. I will not quote what my wife just had to say about this because her language was less than ladylike. I am not normally a person who is afraid of testifying in a courtroom, but the idea of being a witness in a case like this suddenly makes me more than a little bit nervous. Hopefully, if that happens, it will end up being after or even long after the election, when the stakes won't be as high. I spent months waiting for Fani Willis to have a process server knock on my front door, but thankfully that never happened. I think she deliberately passed on the opportunity to call me before her grand jury because my testimony would have been exculpatory. I was relieved that I didn't have to deal with that mess or run the risk of being sucked into it. Lord knows I already had enough on my plate to deal with. That said, as I told my wife, I cannot in good conscience just stand by and watch President Trump and his co-defendants get railroaded by Democrat lawfare.
Amen.
I have been on the receiving end of that for the last 3 years and know exactly what that feels like. While I was blessed to have True the Vote providing a 7-figure legal defense for all of their co-defendants, of which I was one, complete with a couple of Harvard-educated lawyers and local talent like Jake Evans in the mix, these folks appear to have been left largely fending for themselves. I can vividly imagine the financial and emotional toll this must be taking on friends of mine who are defendants, like David Schaefer and Ray Smith. The stress, anxiety, and financial burden must be overwhelming for them and their families. These are good people, and I'd like to help them if I can. We should all be helping them if we can. I don't know why we don't see more of that happening. This nonsense cannot stand. I also feel a sense of responsibility here because I don't know how much the evidence I gave the Trump attorneys played into their decision to even have that ill-fated phone call in the first place. When I read the transcript, knowing the backstory, it looks like it may have been a pretty major point of contention. So I have reached out to Steve Sadow and 2 of the other defense attorneys to volunteer to testify if they think I could be helpful to President Trump or any of the other co-defendants. My wife and I are not fans of ambiguity, but I guess we will now need to just wait and see what ends up happening. By the way, changing subjects, one of Fani Willis's opponents is Courtney Kramer. She is a friend of mine who, for a while, was also one of my attorneys during the Fair Fight versus True the Vote case. She is a smart, attractive, personable, capable, and very likable young attorney. From a demographic standpoint, she is obviously very unlikely to win, but a story on her might make for some interesting reading. She might end up being flooded with support from all over the country, which could make for one very interesting campaign, even if she is likely to lose. I plan to reach out and offer her some help too. If you want a story on her, I can do one, or if it would be more appropriate coming from someone else, I can help make that happen too. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
So
did you hear back from her yet?
I did not.
She'll get back.
I did hear from my editor though about what I sent her that you sent me, the stuff about Boebert and all this shenanigans in Congress, and she's very interested to read all that stuff.
Oh, cool.
So
I got another one here that would interest you as well. Steve wrote this recently. Liz Cheney colluded with Fani Willis, made January 6 videos available before she erased them. Everybody knows that Liz Cheney, when I say Liz Cheney, I mean all of the tards on that J6 committee. Liz Cheney deleted all the digital notes that they made during the committee, during the hearings and whatnot, and the video, a lot of the videos. Can you believe this? So let me go into that. So he writes, believe it or not, Liz Cheney colluded with Fani Willis on the Trump case by showing Fani Willis videos from J6 before she had them erased so that the Republicans couldn't get them. Yeah, they deleted all the digital data right before the Republicans took over the House. That should be illegal. It should be illegal. I mean, it belongs to us, to the people, right? So it says that is known as obstruction of justice. Chairman Barry Loudermilk. Loudermilk is a guy to watch. Do you like him, Mark? I do.
I helped elect Barry Loudermilk.
Get out of town.
No, I did.
I love that.
Yeah, he his campaign platform was in Nation Builder, but he wanted to use my data instead of theirs. So I ended up porting my data into Nation Builder. And yeah, I really like him, and I like his chief of staff too. They were on the baseball field that day that the shooting started, and you know, I got to hear from my buddy all about that from kind of an insider on the receiving end of fire kind of point of view. So that was interesting. But yeah, he's a good egg.
Good. It goes on. It says Representative Loudermilk said, for nearly 2 years, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi's J6 Select Committee promoted hearsay and cherry-picked information to promote its political goal, to legislatively prosecute former President Donald Trump. It was no surprise that the Select Committee's final report focused primarily on former President Trump and his supporters, not the security failures. And remember, they refused to let Pelosi, to get Pelosi up there to answer any questions. Not the security failures and reforms needed to ensure the United States Capitol is safer today than in 2021. Well, duh, because they didn't give a shit about that. They just wanted to trash Trump. It was like anything to trash Trump. The American people deserve the entire truth about what caused the violent breach at the United States Capitol on J6. It is unfortunate the Select Committee succumbed to their political inclinations and chased false yeah, all of it. We all know it because we lived it. But these people are treacherous. They will stop at nothing to go after. The other thing, Mark, I talked about a little bit before you got here, was the Florida case. Okay, Jack Smith. That thing's about to be thrown out because and the judge who you know, full disclosure, is a Trump appointed judge, but that doesn't really mean anything. It means he would get a fair trial, you know. But apparently she's pissed at things that went on because Robert Hur's testimony showed and the judge opened up the window for another appeal for selective prosecution. I would say persecution, but it's because he showed that they prosecuted Trump, but they didn't, who had the right to have those documents. Okay. He was doing exactly what NARA wants you to do. He was going through them. He was picking out what was presidential records, and the rest would go back. And he declassified the Operation Crossfire Hurricane documents. But Hur pointed out in the testimony that, you know, Biden never had the rights. That means that he took those documents from a skiff. He left the skiff, probably stuffed them down his pants or something with those or knowing him, he just walked out with them. He didn't care. So he had all those documents. And he also pointed out, because they said, he said, I don't know if you were watching the video before when you were backstage, but he said, I did not show them to anybody. Well, it turns out he did. He when he was talking to his biographer, he literally said, hold on, I'll go get them. And he ran to the garage where everybody keeps their classified documents. I mean, you do, right? And so he goes to the garage and grabs the papers and comes back and starts fucking reading them to him. I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe this. And so that's another thing that the judge just may throw the whole damn thing out because of selective prosecution. What do you think on that?
I think it's fascinating. And it's also fascinating that the schedule just keeps getting pushed farther and farther back. There's a guy that I follow. I think his name is Harry Lipman. He has a channel on YouTube called Talking Fed. And he's a Democrat, former U.S. attorney, and he follows all this stuff really closely. And I make myself watch him just so I can see what's going on the other side. And it's fascinating, but it's like that whole crowd of people are just so smug. And it's like with every passing day, as the calendars get strung out and their hopes and dreams start to fade, they just get more and more angry and more frustrated. It's very interesting to watch.
Yeah. Let me see now. There was another one I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, did you see this? NPR, the Democrat propaganda machine, they claim that illegals voting is nothing more than a right-wing myth. Do you remember when Tom Fitton came out a few years back and he said that his organization had done a Judicial Watch. They had done a study, and the study showed that throughout the United States, I think it was in 2018, the 2018 election, that over 96,000 illegals voted. and they voted in federal elections, not just local elections, but they voted in federal elections. And so here it has, I wrote, NPR, the leftist Uncle Eddie of radio, is now saying conservatives are propagating a conspiracy theory. Everything is a conspiracy theory about illegal aliens voting, despite the fact that Democrats openly support allowing illegal aliens to vote. In local jurisdictions all over the country, you got blues saying that, yeah, they should be able to vote. They're paying taxes, which they're not. They live here, illegally. As conservatives are warning about non-citizens voting, they wrote in their headline, it's a myth with a long history. Oh, well, I guess that settles it, right? So they're saying that, wait a minute, it says, surprisingly, NPR fails to alert its viewers about this NPR report from less than 15 months ago. New York City will allow 800,000 non-citizens to vote in local elections. That's what I was looking for earlier. Fortunately, that measure was halted in June. Nonetheless, 11 towns in Maryland and 2 in Vermont allow illegals the right to vote in local races. Now, why are they doing that? Well, for the same damn reason they did the motor voter law. And do you remember a long time ago when Hillary Clinton, when she argued that illegals should be able to get a driver's license because, after all, we want to know where they are and who they are, right? No, it was because her husband put in the motor voter law. Was that part of the NCR, the NVRA, Mark, the motor voter?
I'm not sure if giving them driver's license was a part of that law.
I thought it was. I thought that was part of it. But anyway,
it may be. My focus on the NVRA is usually with regard to the list maintenance activities and whatnot. So I've never taken the time to study the entirety of the bill, just the parts that I really need to know.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And that is a fascinating story in itself. But back to this for a second. Yeah, they're telling us that they're not voting, right? But then we have Democrats that have them voting. So which is it? And plus, I don't think it's NPR's job, because I mean, those Republicans that they're saying are spreading conspiracy theories, they're paying for NPR, right? They're like the welfare queen of radio, right? Because we pay most of their expenses to be on the air. So I don't understand. I don't understand how they get away with saying something like that in one of their pieces. Like, you're not supposed to trash either side if Uncle Sam is paying you, and you're supposed to.
I don't understand why they still exist.
I know. Have you heard some of the crap that goes on? It is the wokest, woke bullshit I've ever heard. I mean, it's worse than normal. You no longer have the guy who speaks like this. Now they have these skits that go on that talk about, I have 2 moms and all the trans stuff. And I mean, dude, We're paying for that stuff. I mean, I don't mind people, I really don't mind if you're trans, as long as you don't try to force me to love you, right?
Right.
I'm trans, you got to love me, and that's it. No, I don't really. I don't have to love you as long as I don't violate your rights and you don't violate mine. But I don't think the government's propaganda machine, NPR, should be pushing for that stuff. I just don't. Maybe that's just me. Where anybody see Commander? Anybody see him? Because I had hit him up that we were doing this. I wanted to get him in here. I got a couple guys here from Canada. Jade is originally from Canada. She moved down to the States. She's been here a while. Now she thanks the Lord she's not up there anymore. Yeah, Nano's one of our Canadians. Yeah, I wanted to get Commander in here because I know he would have some questions for you. But let's get back to let me do some more. Oh, yeah. Don Sour Lemon. Did you guys hear about this? Don Lemon, Elon Musk, when he did Tucker's show, when he allowed Tucker to do a show on X, he wanted to show that he was open to all sides. He was going to have diversity. He was going to have, leftists, right guys. He wanted to have it. So Lemon took him up on it and said, yeah, I'd like to do a show there, because he was shit canned from CNN because he couldn't get along with his co-host, right? So because he was like a little diva, right? Little bitch. And so they go and they set up the show and all that. And the very first interview was with Elon. And so he gets Elon on the interview and just starts trashing X, saying, well, the hate speech is up on your platform. And, and then he said something about there was this, it was a lie. They're saying that when Hamas attacked Israel, it was around that time. And he made a statement, and the left immediately translated that into an anti-Semitic statement, and it wasn't anything of the sort. I can't remember what the statement was. I can't remember, but it wasn't anti-Semitic in any way, shape, or form. But they hate him because he brought free speech back to Twitter. So that's what Don Lemon goes and asks them about that. And says, well, when you say anti-Semitic things, it's like, and he should have seen see the look on his face there. That was the look he gave him throughout most of it until he finally went off on him. Let me get down to that. I'll play the video. Watch, this is great. You would think that after Elon says what he's about to say, that he would have taken the hint, like read the room.
Speech on the platform is up. Do you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform? That you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the Great Replacement Theory as it relates to Democrats? I don't have to answer these questions. The Great Replacement Theory as it relates to Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think? Do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm criticized constantly. I could care less.
He could care less. Now, he mentioned the Great Replacement Theory, right? The Great Replacement Theory, guys, all it is on he's a narcissistic loser. You're right, Jade. All the Great Replacement Theory is demographics is destiny, right? That's what it is. In fact, I could play that in a second. I will if I have it. Yeah. So check it out. So the Democrats have been talking about hey, what's up, Roger? How you doing, brother? Lemon hate his white husband. Exactly, bro. But it turns out that they're the ones that talk about this demographics is destiny. In other words, well, we got all these brown people that are coming into the country. White people are not going to be, the guys that are going to be the majority anymore. But then when conservatives commit what I call the crime of noticing, and they point it out, they go, that's just a Great Replacement Theory, you racist bigot. So give this a listen. Here's a little
are increasingly coming out into the open.
In a few years, we're going to be a majority brown country. White people will not be the majority in the country anymore.
This will be the first generation ever in American history in which whites will be a minority of the generation at some point.
As of 2007, every year, babies being born in this country, whites now are the minority.
In 2044, everyone is going to be a minority.
As the demographics change, as white people become the minority in the country, which is coming.
Demographics is destiny. Demographics is destiny.
Demographics is destiny, right? The country is changing.
I've been saying it here. Other people have been saying it here for years now, even before Donald Trump. The demographics is destiny.
The white population is declining for the first time in history in America, while the number of multiracial Americans have more than doubled.
So we live in a country where the demographics are changing. It's becoming less white.
Correct.
Okay, you'll be announcing that we're calling the 38 electoral votes of Texas for the Democratic nominee for president. It's changing. It's going to become a purple state and then a blue state because of the demographics, because of the population growth.
The growth in Texas has been almost entirely driven by non-white population growth, mostly by...
No, it's been driven by a lot of people escaping California and going to Texas where there was freedom.
Hispanic and Latino population growth.
The idea that whites will not be the majority. I mean, it's an exciting transformation of the country.
Can I ask, how can he say it's exciting? How is it exciting? I mean, it's a news story. It's an interest story. How the hell is it exciting that white people will no longer be the majority, which it's going to take a hell of a lot longer years.
The reason it's exciting to these people is the reason it's so exciting. The reason it's sending a tingle down their leg, is because they think it bothers us. But the reality is, it doesn't bother me at all. The browning of America has been going on for a couple of decades, and so what? I mean, I love the idea of everybody going out and taking these genealogy tests because people get surprised all the time. I'm a little bit African American, and as the browning of America continues, you're just going to see a lot more people that are mixed race. That doesn't mean they're a Democrat. I mean, these folks seem to think that, it's like the old one drop rule from the 60s that the Democrats used to have. They think if you're one drop minority, that makes you a minority, and then you're obligated to vote Democrat. Winning.
Yeah. That's what they did to Barack Obama. He was half and half, but because he's black, the Democrats pushed him as a black man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the one drop theory. Well, that's what they did during slavery, the one drop theory.
I think people are starting to just not care about that stuff.
Yeah, I know. But these guys, they've been pushing this shit for years now. There's one of them where Biden is sitting there with Alejandro Mayorkas, and I think he was VP at the time, and he was sitting there and saying, by the year 2017, white people will be an absolute minority. Well, he was way off, as he usually is, right? And he was saying, and that's a good thing. This is a good thing. And I'm sitting there going, why do these assholes on the left get off by celebrating that white people are not going to be the majority anymore, as if there's a problem with the country because white people are? I don't get that. I just don't. Got a lot of shit. Let me see. Let's see. Here we go. But you'll notice that Hispanics are leaning more MAGA. Yes. Makes sense. They tend to be conservatives. Here's the thing. Ronald Reagan once said that Hispanics are conservative. They just don't know it yet. And the reason why is because white power, Jimmy. The reason why is because they believe in, they're Christian. They believe in God. They believe in family. They believe in safe neighborhoods. They believe in getting a job and work. They believe in all that stuff. And this is why I'm not worried, because I think that we have all these illegals. We have over 10 million now that the Biden administration has let in. Now, do you think they're going to be living? Do you think they're going to be living with, rich white people or rich black people or even middle class? No, they're going to be living in the barrier. They're going to be living among Hispanic people because that's not racist. It's just what people tend to do. And I think the American Hispanics are going to tell them, "Hey, what's up, happy girl? Good to see you." What's called the reason why I don't have a problem is because I think the American Hispanics who are finally realizing that the Democrats made shitloads of promises but did not come through. And Donald Trump says one time to minorities, "Hey, you know, they've been treating you like crap, promising you stuff for years and never delivered. What have you got to lose?" Right? And a lot of them that didn't vote MAGA in 2016, they learned that, you know what, this guy actually delivered, because the Black and Hispanic unemployment rate went to the lowest rate ever recorded under Trump. And Trump did that intentionally because he wanted to show the world that the politicians that make these promises, they're full of shit. And here's how easy it was to do, right? Which is another reason why they hate his guts. So I think those Hispanics that are finally coming to America first, that are finally coming into MAGA, a lot of them may not admit it yet, but they're voting that way because they were better off under Trump. I think they're going to tell the illegals, you know, hey, you know, don't vote for Democrats, because if the Democrats knew, though, that you were voting Republican, they would probably catapult you over across the Rio Grande 24/7.
Rich,
So
if
they don't
that
give a
happened
shit about you.
If that happened, you'd be able to see the border wall from space.
Yes, they would build a border wall. They would catapult them over until the wall was done, but they act like they give a damn about them, but they don't. They don't. It's all for politics, and everybody knows it, but you're not allowed to say it, or else you're a racist. We care if we are free. You're right, bro. We care if we are free. Let me see what else we got. You got anything you want to bring up, Mark?
No, not in particular. I just kind of came to hang out, you know.
So. Yeah, it's cool. Do you if anybody wants to get in touch with you or see your socials, tell them what it is. Tell them how to find you.
Let's see. I'm on Facebook. It's Swamp Hunter. Or Mark Davis. I'm in Georgia.
That's how I have him in my phone book. Mark Swamp Hunter. I swear to God. That's how you're in my phone. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got that handle because I literally used to hunt a lot in swamps. So,
Georgia boy.
Let's see. So, what else? What
you on Twitter?
What covered?
Do you have a Twitter account?
Yeah, Mark Davis GOP.
Awesome.
I don't do Twitter very much, though. I actually quit Twitter, and then I went back to it when Elon bought it.
Yeah, you know what? I wasn't on there at all. And when Elon bought it, I came back. Roger wrote, Mark, is there a way people like us could support you?
Thank you, Roger. I really appreciate that. But I'm good. I'm really lucky because you know, True the Vote covered my legal defense.
But a lot of money.
The folks that could really use the help are those defendants in Fulton County. And, you know, of course, you know, we also need to be paying close attention to the January 6th people. I mean, we've just got so much lawfare going on that we just have to push back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm assuming your dad's probably taught you the same thing mine did. I went home one day after school and I said, Dad, I got a bully. I don't know what to do. And he said, you turn around and you knock the crap out of him. And I said, but he's older than me. He's bigger than me. And Dad's like, I don't care. You know, you just light into him with everything you've got. And he may win the fight, but after that, he'll leave you alone. You won't be worth it anymore. It's no fun to pick on somebody who fights back.
Right.
And that's what we got to do, because this lawfare, that's all it is it's bullying. They've got, you know, people writing, you know, they got billionaires writing them big fat checks, and Mark Elias can run around the country filing all the lawsuits he wants. But the problem is every now and then one backfires. Now, in the True the Vote versus Fair Fight versus True the Vote case, we spanked them. I mean, just spanked them.
Yep.
I got really frustrated with the judge because, you know, he didn't rule with us on our motion for summary judgment. He didn't rule with Jake Evans' motion for judicial notice. You know, we tried everything to get out of that case. Me and Derek did, and you just couldn't do it. And we thought it was because the judge was against us. He was an Obama-appointed judge, and we thought he was biased. But in the end, he wasn't. What he was doing was he was giving the Democrats every single possible opportunity to prove their case, and they couldn't do it. So when the case ended, he came back and he ruled that he saw no evidence of any voter intimidation on the part of any of the defendants. It was just a solid win, and he did it so airtight that it makes it difficult to appeal. And for those of you that are not familiar with it, the 11th Judicial Circuit, which is where they would appeal to, it's known as a fairly conservative court. So here's the equation. You got the liberal judges looking at a decision, a fair decision, that was rendered by an Obama-appointed federal judge. They ain't likely to overturn it, I don't think. And then you got the conservatives who have respect for this judge, and they're not going to be eager either. I predict a fail. And the problem is, if Mark Elias fails there, see, the case that we had in the Northern District of Georgia set precedent, but only here. If he takes it to the 11th, which he has filed notice of appeal to do, then if he gets beaten, then it all of a sudden becomes binding precedent. Now, when he appealed the case, he appealed only against True the Vote. All the co-defendants were cut out. I think they realized they made a mistake having me and Derek in the case.
Yep.
But that's what happened. So
Mark Elias, let me explain to people. Mark Elias is a lawyer he's the Democrats' top lawyer for stealing elections. And in 2020, he had a legal team that was going to all the key battleground states and some other states, and they were suing the state's election laws, which makes no sense. Article 1, Section 4 says that state legislatures have the authority to do election laws. That is, to create them, to delete them, to edit them, modify, okay? And yet he was getting liberal judges to make these changes. And in fact, when a liberal judge wouldn't do it, he got the executive branch to do it. In my state of Pennsylvania, we had our Supreme Court, our state Supreme Court, which was ruled by Democrats, okay? It was controlled by Democrats. They changed election. Elias, his people went in there, and they changed election law for 2020, extending the deadline date for mail-in ballots to be allowed. The state legislature wrote that it was 8 p.m. election day night. That was it. Anything that comes after it, throw it the hell away. It's not good. The court extended it by 3 freaking days. And you think, well, it's only 3 days. Those 3 days were the days that the Democrats needed to know how many votes do we need to win. And that's when they were Xeroxing them off or having them shipped from New York. If you remember that semi truck got caught with like 50,000 votes or something, like ballots with just Biden's name on it. Well, just his name circled in already, right? So they did that. And then in our executive branch, our Secretary of State, Democrat, Kathy Boockvar, she went and changed election law, which she didn't have the right to do. She's the executive branch, not the legislature. She extended the date, the deadline of the time that people that voted by provisional ballot were allowed to prove who they were. And I think she did it by like 9 days. The theory working there was they thought that the count and all that would be over within 9 days. So they didn't have to work on it. And they would just accept all those provisional ballots without having to go through any counts and proving, taking the person's signature and their ID when they come back to prove who they were. So Mark Elias just recently put out a tweet. I've reported on it twice already. He put out a tweet bragging that his team is now inside, 14 states. He has either 43 or 48 cases in 14 or 19 states. And he said that, so in other words, he's bragging that he's doing it again. And I believe they're going after all the states that had election integrity laws put in. So your state legislature, you vote. This is democracy, right? Until 5 minutes ago, you vote for who you want to represent you. And then the people who represent you, they put election integrity laws in, like the great state of Georgia did, that Brian Kemp signed into law. And Then you have Mark Elias and his reprobates come along, and they go to court and they judge shop for a liberal judge, activist judge, and he goes and changes the law. I don't know how the hell they get away with that. Mark, how do they do that?
Triggered something that I forgot to mention. Our legislature held hearings, the Senate, and I was invited to go testify.
Repeat that. You blocked out for a second. Repeat that. You locked up for a second.
Oh, okay. So the Senate Ethics Committee held hearings a couple of weeks ago, and I was invited to go down there and testify.
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, did you?
I did. I watched you the whole time.
So some really unexpected stuff happened during and after that hearing. One of the things that happened is in the bill, the committee has basically taken the position that they want to change the law to allow for the use of NCOA, National Change of.
You're locking up again.
Specifically want to change the wording of the law that so it stipulates that it's cause. It creates probable cause for a challenge to be sustained, which is great because Mark Elias threatened every county in Georgia. A lot of people don't know this, but in the 2020 election, after that election, when we found all these illegal votes that had happened, well, not all of them were illegal, but the data indicates that vast majority were. We turned around and started doing challenges for that upcoming U.S. Senate runoff that was, going to control who controls the U.S. Senate. And so anyway, we did all those challenges. And when Mark Elias got wind of it, he sent a letter to every county in Georgia threatening to file suit against them if they dared to accept one of those challenges.
Unreal.
And of course, the challenges were on residency issues. And a lot of people don't really understand this, but our ballots are based on where we live, where our domicile is, where we lay our heads at night, where we get our pizzas delivered, that address. Okay. And so what happens is when people go and vote in another jurisdiction other than their own, they are voting for the wrong candidates much of the time. In this example, in the analysis that I did, there were 100% of these folks were shown in the wrong county. 94% were shown in the wrong House district, 86.5% in the wrong Senate district, 64% in the wrong congressional district.
You guys hear this?
And the problem with that, it's illegal what they did, because in order to do it about where they lived, that is a violation under federal law of 52 USC 10307, which is the Prohibited Acts section of the Voting Rights Act. And it's also 2 felonies under Georgia law. The first is the one they're warned about when they execute. And that
your internet's starting up again. It was so good too.
Where'd I lose you?
No, it's all right. It's all right. Go ahead. We picked it up.
Well, anyway, so they're warned to not violate OCGA 21-2-562, which is providing false information. Did I lose you again?
No. I'm always like, how do you remember that? He just remembers the numbers of these laws.
And then the other one is
yeah, we lost you again.
And casting a ballot as an unqualified elector. So these are serious charges.
Yeah,
$10,000 fine and up to $100,000 fine and up to 10 years in jail. So
no Democrat will ever see that fate.
Well, I'm only aware of one person who was ever want to go out and file felony charges against 35,000 Georgians. I'm not saying that. But the thing is, We can't fix a problem.
See you, Chill. Thanks for being here, man.
Continues to stonewall and play games with this issue and everything. It's just getting worse and worse because those issues happened in the 2020 election.
Hi, Linda. We lost you. We lost you.
I lost you again for a minute. They happened in the 2022 election as well. They're going to happen again in 2024.
Yep.
So I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to do that same analysis again in October. And I'm going to run SQL queries and identify that information in the spreadsheets. One for the House, one for the Senate, one for congressional, and one for the counties. And that way, me and
your neighbors must be playing games or something.
Huh?
You're breaking up a lot now. Your neighbors must be playing games or something.
I'm sorry, guys. I am.
It was great, man. For like an hour, it was great.
When it comes to hardware.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to be at the ready to challenge elections.
Good.
If you guys remember, there
people
were
like you doing that.
After the 2020 election, Cleta Mitchell, who was one of the lead attorneys one of the lead Trump attorneys, she started a thing called the Election Integrity Network. And there's a lot of quality people in there, and there's a lot of people that are skilled data analysts that are getting involved. You can be great as a data analyst, but you also have to understand election law and everything. Once you get both of those in the same person, then you've got a potential expert witness on your hands.
That's you.
You know?
That's you.
I lose you?
No, you're here. No, you're here.
All right, I got your back now.
Yeah, you're here, man. We got everything too. Listen, I want to go into this next one. Let me share this screen. Here we go. Okay, let me see if you can see it. I don't know. Can you guys see that? Yeah. All right. So get this, guys. After 3 years, the FBI finally arrests a man who fired 2 shots on J6. You see him there? A lot of guys were climbing up the scaffolding there, and they had their flags with them, and they're holding them up in the air, right? And they all stayed up there until like a cop came up and said, "Get the hell down." This asshole climbs up with the flag, raises a pistol, fires twice, and then immediately climbs down. Okay. Now, you know damn right well that if this wasn't a Fed or a Fed informant doing this, or a Capitol Police officer doing it, the cops would have flooded on this guy. It would have, those MAGA guys brought a gun, but it took 3 friggin' years. As in a video that the FBI hid from the public, a man fired 2 shots in the air from the. So in other words, the FBI knew this since January 6th. Said a man fired 2 shots in the air from the scaffolding at the Capitol. What makes this suspicious is that the FBI ignored the man until GOP congressional candidate and J6 defendant Derek Evans released the video that the FBI sat on for 3 years without trying to make an arrest. Ray Epps, anyone? Remember Ray Epps? I mean, he was the one guy that said, "We're going into the Capitol." They caught him on like 3 or 4 different videos saying that. Go into the Capitol, breach the Capitol, right? Guys were pointing at him, say, "Fed, Fed, Fed." And yet it took, 3 years for them to even talk to him? And then he gets probation. You got guys that like strolled in there, were adhering to the velvet ropes, weren't crossing those, were taking selfies, and they got like 10 years. It has another video shows Capitol Police officers firing gas canister, tear gas, and rubber bullets an hour before this incident. There was video I saw of the stuff that Tucker released, and it had the crowd down below, and on a higher layer, you had the cops there, and they were talking to each other, and you overheard them. It was probably on their GoPros. And the one said, "Yeah, I think if we keep firing bullets and tear gas into that crowd, they're going to get a little pissed off." Something to that effect. Now, why would a cop say something like that? Unless they were doing it to rile people up. And I keep telling people, I saw this. Mark, I don't know if you and I ever talked about this, but I watched one of the videos where it turns out that we saw that there were cops on one side of the police barricade. They look like those the steel bicycles that you would put your bike into, right? They had them as barricades. There were peaceful people on the one side. They weren't even protest. They weren't, Trump won. They weren't doing it. They were just standing around talking to each other, enjoying the day. And then there was a line of cops, like maybe 5 or 6 of them on the other side. And the one cop no one was talking to anyone. The one cop for no reason goes down to the barricade, reaches over and sucker punches one of the guys in the face. Then he just turns around and goes back with the other cops. And naturally, the guy got hit and he went, "Whoa, motherfucker." And he goes to jump up over the barricade and the other cops get involved and all. Now, what do you think CNN and MSNBC showed that night? They didn't show the punch from the cop. They showed that they were trying to go after the police. And I saw that video. And that's why Tucker got fired, as a matter of fact. Chuck Schumer went and threatened Fox News, him and Hakeem Jeffries, who's the Nancy Pelosi without the dress. As Derek Evans wrote this about the footage. So what we're looking at here is a video taken from the west lawn of the Capitol building. After 3 years of breathless coverage by the mainstream media, preemptively convicting every single person who just happened to step on, you would think that you would have seen or heard about this footage. You're getting ready to see. And what we have here is footage of an unknown agitator or infiltrator. That's what I think he was, an infiltrator of some sort, who was firing off a pistol in the air in front of everyone. At about the 1 minute and 24-second mark, a Hispanic male on the younger side decides to scale the scaffolding, turns around, brandishes a firearm, aims the gun into the sky, and fires off 2 rounds. And then, very interestingly, to me anyways, he climbs right back down from the scaffolding. So he wasn't up there to protest like everyone else or any of those things. Once again, everybody else climbs up there, stays up there, and continues waving the flags. He climbs up, fires off the gun, and then climbs back down. Guys, we're not fucking idiots. We know what was going on. Let me see if he put the video in there. No, he didn't. Now, you guys should go to rpwmedia.com, and in every story, we have a link right there that will take you to a page that looks like this. Sign up. It's free. And if you don't like it, the next series is free as well. So, but Mark, what do you think of this? This is clearly another one of those guys. It's like the pipe bomb incident. They had the pipe bomb there in case something didn't happen, in case there was no riot, in case a guy didn't fire 2 shots in the air. So I think this guy was a plant, and they told him, go up there, fire 2 shots in the air. It may have been a blank gun. Who the hell knows? But no one goes. They can find someone from say Seattle who was there that day and go and arrest them from the videos, but they can't find out who this guy was. What do you think of that?
Well, one thing I think is that it's really interesting.
Oh shit, we lost you.
Because, well, cell phone data is not accurate enough for this analysis and blah, blah, blah. But apparently it is accurate enough to tell where Donald Trump was in the White House, what room he was in, and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, they could have found those people. And, they're just manufacturing, inflaming, and exploiting the issue for all it's worth. And, if you compare and contrast the George Floyd riots with the riots at the Capitol, you talk about disparate treatment, like you were talking about in that Trump case in Florida. I mean, that's just a glaring example. The Democrats were busy bailing those folks out of jail. And they're locking these folks up without a trial forever.
Yeah, our vice president actually wrote a tweet out while she was still a dingbat senator, but when she was running for vice president, she sent a tweet out during the St. George Floyd riots, asking people to support this organization that was bailing out rioters. She then turns around when people question her on the news, and she said, no, it was protesters we were bailing out. And no one on the panel said, dipshit, protesters don't get arrested. Rioters do. What do you mean protesters? Because they don't arrest protesters. They're allowed to protest. You're not allowed to riot. So you're right. You're right. They were bailing people out to get them out so they can create more mayhem. And what did you think? I always wanted to ask you this. I never talked to you about this. As you guys can see, my ADD is moving on me. I'm going from thing to thing to thing. So during the St. George Floyd riots, did you notice that like these pallets of bricks just floated down and ended up in the middle of the damn street? Like, who the hell paid for that?
Somebody paid for and scheduled the delivery of those. I don't have any doubt. I mean, you don't just who just parks a pallet of bricks by the side of the street, you know?
Yeah, in multiple neighborhoods in multiple states. It's like George Soros's color revolution, you know, the prep work for it. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Bobbity. Let me see what we got. Yep. Unless you are a MAGA protester, then you get arrested. That is exact. It's a two-tier system of justice. We say it now, and it's like a cliche anymore, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah,
like a flipping cliche.
It's so true, though. And you know they're not even hiding it anymore. And I'm actually very afraid of them getting too much power.
I keep saying that the only reason that they haven't gone full Joe Stalin yet is because of this election. But I think if we lose this election, guys, if we lose this, I don't know, maybe you do, but I've never heard of any dictator throughout our history, throughout the humanity history, that ever voluntarily gave up their power. And I don't think these guys would either.
Yeah, Roger, I would say just get involved. You know, whatever your political persuasion is.
Roger is a dear friend of mine, by the way, just like you are.
Good.
A lot of people don't know. Mark and I are like best friends for like the last, 12 years now?
Let's see, since what, 2008, something like that?
Oh, was it?
Was it that far back? I think it was.
It might have been, yeah. We used to go on this dating website, but we were both married, and we put in our profile because they had a great political forum section, and we both wrote on our profiles, "We are only here for the forums." Remember that? Yeah, because they have it was datehookup.com. They had the greatest. They had so many libtards there, so much fresh raw meat to attack.
But the strange thing was, we were pretty sure there were paid posters in there because they were really good for your average person, you know, on a website like that.
Yep.
Yeah, the bricks came from the sky.
Yeah, Bobbity is like our resident, and I say comedian with love and respect because he's funny as hell. He's funny as hell. Linda is from Australia. We love her. We got a few Canadians here. Are there any UK people here yet? Damien, are you in the UK? Where are you at, Damien? I always forget.
I love watching Australian media, by the way.
Oh,
I like
Sky News. Oh, we love Sky News over here. We just do. That woman, especially the dark-haired woman, I can't remember her name.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Minnesota. Oh crap! I'm sorry. He's like, I'm in Minnesota, dude.
Is it
I'm
Panini?
What's that?
Something Panini or?
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't remember her name, but she's awesome.
She always says lefties losing it, and it's hysterical.
I know. I laugh my ass off. Jimmy, are you still here? Jimmy from Philly. I wonder if he's still here. I'll bring him.
Well,
in.
Damien, I'm not convinced he'll win either, but I'm going to fight like hell anyway. I mean, been doing it since I was a kid. You know, can't stop. Yeah, Rita. Yeah, Rita.
Cyberbully, how you doing? I didn't see you there. Pax Max. Whoa, what's up, man? Oh, we got 19 in. I'm about to beat Jimmy's record. Oh, you're busy a little. All right, let me know if you want to come in later. I want you to talk to Mark. That's my brother. Jimmy
okay.
From Philly. Yeah, he's my brother. He has his own channel. He brags like Larry. I keep forgetting his name. Not Larry Kane. What the hell was his name? He was on CNN. Had the show for years. Always bragged he never prepped for one show. Had the glasses. Old guy. Oh damn.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, and he was a legend.
Was it Doc something?
No, Larry. There he is, Larry King.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Larry King would always say, thank you, Bobby. Larry King would always say, I never prep for a single show. And I'd be like, yeah, it shows. it comes through, you got the essence of that. Well, Jimmy says the same thing. I never prep, and he never has. But what Jimmy does is he comes on, he lets the expletives fly, but that's okay. But he comes on and he just says what he wants to say about politics, how he feels about it. And he lets people come in. Like last week, I was up till like 3:00 in the morning, just talking with all the people because Jimmy had to go to bed. He had to get up early. So I took over the show and like we had a bunch of people in it. It was awesome. And we were up like all kinds of hours. That's just what his channel is. He only does live streams, as a matter of fact. Now, who's that? Ruskin Fernando, the great reporter, a wedding videographer who got shut down during COVID. Yeah, so documented the happenings and still does. Good. What's this? Late summer of 2020, everyone thought it was completely over for the left. Yeah, that is true. Absurdity struck again. Yeah, you know what? You know what? Tell me about this, Mark. When the St. George Floyd riots started, is it me or were the lefties all throughout the country, nay, the world, were they like just ready for that? They had the T-shirts out, the fucking little bobble dolls. I mean, they had everything, right? They had the signs out, the bricks. They had it all. They had all the slogans down. They were using not only Twitter, but they have another app they use, like, busting in a police station on 23rd and Elm, and everybody'd run over. They had such coordination.
And did you notice that all the riots seemed to just magically evaporate as soon as Joe Biden got inaugurated?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Weird how that happens. I guess the cops quit being racist bullies when that happened,
Yeah. I guess they learned their lesson. It was all over for the left. It's been over for them for a long time. That's why they're doing all that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The more desperate they get, the worse they get. But the thing is, I think that they have, well, first of all, and I'm not just saying this, for points. I think they're really stupid people. They're smart as a whip on how to manipulate the system. But I think they're damn stupid people now because the world has changed and they haven't recognized it. What am I saying? I'm saying that they don't know how to get themselves out of the mess that they're in. Look what they've done to Trump. They tried to make him look like the worst possible person that you would ever want to vote for. He's a rapist, right? But they didn't tell you that the way they threw the rape charges at him was the state of New York actually created a law so that they threw out statute of limitations for a specific time period because they sunset it, but threw out statute of limitations laws for sex crimes just so E. Jean Carroll could come along. Now, I don't know if it was particularly her they did it for, but for anyone who could come along and they could latch onto so that they could make him look like a rapist, right? So they had to break laws with new laws, which I think is statute of limitations. I think that's in the Constitution, isn't it? I think it is.
No, I think that's a state thing.
Really?
There may be statutes in there, statute of limitations for federal laws, but
yeah, well, that's what I mean. I mean, the states pretty much copied everything. Most states copied our Constitution, maybe made some amendments to it and whatnot, but most of them did. And I think that's where, if you think about it, the states made their system pretty much the same thing. They have a legislature which has a House and a Senate, but I think it was mentioned in the Constitution, statute of limitation, or in one of the amendments. I mean, it doesn't say those words, but there's something in there. I vaguely remember. I should know this because I read the Constitution.
Well, I'll tell you this much on that subject. An attorney friend of mine recently reminded me, believe it or not, time has been flying by, and he reminded me that it'll only be a few more months and the statute of limitations on all those election law violations from 2020 will hit that statute of limitations.
Yep.
I'm actually okay with that. I'm actually hoping that maybe if Raffensperger doesn't have to look at prosecuting 35,000 cases, maybe he'll finally admit this is an actual, these residency issues are an actual problem and something will get done, you know?
That son of a bitch is so arrogant. He's running for governor, isn't he?
That's the word on the street. For folks that don't know me, and well, none of you do except for Rich, but I grew up with Gabe Sterling. My brothers and I went through school with him, and
they don't know who Gabe is.
Huh?
Explain who Gabe is. They don't know who he is.
Gabe Sterling is the COO for the Secretary of State's office.
Chief Operating Officer.
He went through school with my little brother Cale, and I also knew Brad when he was elected. I consulted a little bit for him because he had me and his general consultant, who's an old friend of mine. He had us all convinced that he was an election integrity advocate, and we thought we were electing one of our own. And we all turned around and got all our people to support Brad enthusiastically, and he won his primary. And, you know, that's one of the weird things is, like, out of all the elected officials that I've helped elect or known personally over the years, you can't ever really tell which ones are going to turn bad. I had Jeff Duncan in the office next door to me, our lieutenant governor, former lieutenant governor. He was in the office next door to me for years, and we were friends. I helped him get elected to the state house when he first ran, and I was one of the first people he told he was running for lieutenant governor. And look how he turned out. I mean, it was just bewildering to me. You know, when he went on CNN and told the whole country there was no voter fraud in Georgia, I called him up a little while after that. He was out camping with his boys. And I said, Jeff, we need to talk. And I said, look, you've known me a long time. You know I know what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, there was enough vote fraud that happened in Georgia to affect the outcome of the election. And you know I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
You had me doing your data work, you know, for the data that you used in your campaign. And I couldn't get through to him. So anyway.
I think he was under orders to not get through.
It's just bewildering. Some of them, you elect them and you don't expect much and they surprise you. Some of them you expect so much from and they not only disappoint you, but sometimes it's terrible. Like I helped elect Pat Swindle back in the day, and I'm sure none of you recognize that name, but he was a congressman from here in Georgia who I think it was like in the 90s, actually went to prison. And
really?
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it was for accepting bribes. And he came and spoke at our college at the school I went to, which was Georgia State. And I was president of Young Republicans at the time. And my dad was actually involved in that case. He had a client that was involved in that case. And so I knew all the inside scoop. And so during his speech, me and my brother started to snicker a little bit. And he stopped his speech and he said, Mark Davis, sounds like you have something to say.
Uh-oh.
And I stood up and I said, yeah, Pat, I do. I made phone calls for you. I stuffed envelopes for you, knocked on doors for you. I did everything I could to support you getting into office. And you know what? You let me down. You know, I mean, just went off on him. You know, it's on the front page of the school newspaper and all that stuff. To this day, my little brother says that he's never been more proud of me. But it's really bad when you work so hard for some of these guys and they just turn around and just stab you in the back.
I think Raffensperger's case, and tell me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of people here don't know that Brad Raffensperger's office, they were getting hammered by Stacey Abrams, you know, voter suppression, white supremacy, you know, all that bullshit. And so he told his office, look, she's becoming a problem. It's getting into the media now. It's not true, but we got to handle this. So he sends Jordan Fuchs out to see if she could do something. Jordan Fuchs was a girl that worked for, I believe, Mark Roundtree, right? Worked for him, and she had
hold on, one quick thing.
Sure.
Did you see the article Molly Hemingway put out where she finally pinned it down that it was Jordan that recorded that phone call?
Oh, yeah. Let me bring this in right now. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So let me pull this up. Ready? Right here. My guy Steve wrote this. Georgia case against Trump imploded over illegal recording. There's Jordan. And basically what his argument is,
wait.
he said
Folks,
that they're saying that the phone call was made in Florida because she was in Florida at the time. She has social media posts from Florida at the time. Florida is a 2-consent state. Georgia is 1-party consent. So she never, from that phone call, she didn't tell, I think, the Trump people that she was actually recording it. Even though presidents get recorded all the time, but that's illegal because she didn't. She knew it. She was the 1 party, but the other party was not. And he says on Thursday, Molly Hemingway, there you go, at the Federalist confirmed the Gateway Pundit's reporting from February last year. A new book from Mike Isikoff and Daniel Klaidman, hope I didn't murder his name, admits that a widely misunderstood phone call on which Willis's political prosecution rests was illegally recorded. That means the entire prosecution could crumble. Now, Mark, do you remember last week when I was talking to you about this? We were going back and forth, and you had pointed out that it wasn't just the phone call. Steve thought that because the phone call, if that gets thrown out, the whole case gets thrown out. Well, he said that's the only thing she took. We had a little heated discussion. That's the only thing that she took to the grand jury. And see, he doesn't know I'm talking about him because he's deaf and he can't hear. So anyway, I'm kidding, but there was the fake electors, and then there was the Dominion thing, and we talked about this. And even if the phone call gets thrown out, which it should, I mean, as soon as this case starts.
Wait. Hold on. On that note, there were several charges dismissed relating to that phone call, and a lot of people are under the impression that the judge basically threw that whole phone call deal out. He kind of did and kind of didn't.
Yeah, right.
Case. So if it collapses there, then I'm thinking, I'd like to hear from an attorney on this, but I'm thinking the whole RICO aspect of it could collapse. But
yeah,
we should talk about that phone call while we're on here, because a lot of people don't know some of the stuff that I've told you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go for it.
Okay.
This is important, guys. Pay attention to this. Hey, Bex, how are you, girl? Nice to see you. Thank you for coming in. Go ahead.
Rich, can you pull up the transcript of that phone call?
I don't know. I don't know if we have it here. He should have put it in here.
Well, if you Google it, CNN has a transcript up that we could use.
Let me see. CNN.com. And what would it be under? I guess
when I go looking for it, I just go to Google and put in Trump Raffensperger phone call transcript or something like that. It usually pops right up. Burger
phone call transcript. All right. Let me see what comes up. Read the full transcript. Cool. Here we go. Let me put it in. Let me paste it in here. Hold on. I have to drop this one. Bring this. I'm still new at this.
All right.
Let me see. Where is it? Read the full. There it is. Okay. So this is the one, right?
Yeah. Now, if you can go to search and find, and we want to scroll down to where Kurt Hilbert starts talking.
Kurt Hilbert. Okay, hold on.
Hilbert.
EERT. There you go. Right
okay. There. So let me walk you through. Let me set the context and then walk you through this part of the transcript here. So
you're locked. There you go. You're back.
What happened?
You locked again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Interrupt me. Right. Do this or something. If that, I'm sorry, guys. I can't really do anything about it.
No, it's all right.
So,
yeah, my brother's back.
I love that. Okay, so what happened after the 2020 election? I was sitting there going, "What the hell?" Okay, Well,
Yeah.
I had just gotten this brand new computer called the Beast, and I just decided on my own to do the kind of analysis that I usually do when I'm called in as an expert witness on a smaller case. But this time I was going to run it statewide. And when I did, that's when I spotted all these issues. And so one of the first things I did was get a hold of the Trump lawyers and turn that data over to them. I gave them that data right there at the end of November. So they had it well over a month before.
Guys, what he's saying is his analysis and whatnot of the 2020 voter data, he sent over to their office a month prior to that phone call. So they knew his findings. Go ahead.
Well, they not only knew what the findings were, they had already had it vetted by an auditor in New York. And all that data has aged like fine wine. I'll come back to that later. It's only gotten better in the last 3 years. But
wow.
So anyway, they were all very well aware of these issues. And if you read this transcript, you can see that the Trump attorneys were arguing with the Secretary of State's office over that analysis before this phone call. Here, they argue over it some more during the phone call. And they were supposed to get together the next day to argue over it after the phone call. In fact, the day the phone call happened, January 2nd, I didn't even know what was going on. All I knew was I got an email from one of the Trump lawyers and said, hey, can you send me another copy of that data? And I said, sure. I didn't know why he was asking, but I just shot it on over to him. I now know from reading this, he was probably asking for it so they could go over it the next day with the Secretary of State's office, which never happened.
Wow.
So that's the story. But if you start here,
Cleta, is that the lawyer that was in charge of the Trump legal team there at the time?
Okay. So here's the chain of command, and this is part of the deal discussed in Ken Buck's book. We can talk about that too if you want. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I doubt anybody in here is that interested in it, but
well, no. I would like to talk about that from the perspective of he's a dick. Go ahead.
All right. So anyway, so yeah, they were all very well versed. In fact, Mark Meadows, after Cleta Mitchell talked to Mark Meadows about it, he called me up one day, and this is the second phone call I've ever gotten from the White House. And so I made a note of it in my phone, and I saved his number in case I ever needed to reach back out to
I know, man. I would do
the
this.
White
I
House.
would put it up on the fucking wall, man.
So anyway, I spoke with him for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and he didn't play, man. He was asking some tough, very pointed questions and all of this kind of stuff. And I guess I must have convinced him that this analysis was legit, because next thing I knew, they were asking me to turn around and turn it over to this auditor. And spent quite a bit of time working with the auditor. And he asked me, how many of these changes of address could have been temporary but filed as permanent? And I said, nobody really knows the answer to that question. That's why I want to turn it over to the Secretary of State's office for investigation. That's what investigations are for.
Yep.
And so the auditor goes, well, I got to go back to the campaign and give them some kind of report. How should we handle that? And I said, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that number's unknown. Quite frankly, I don't think it's very many, but there's going to be some in there. And he said, well, do you think it's 10%, 50%? What do you think? And I said, honestly, I don't know. My gut feeling is maybe a few thousand. And he said, well, tell you what if we go back to the campaign and just say, well, even if it's a third of the 35,000, that still leaves twice the margin on the table. And under Georgia law, there's two ways to overturn an election. The Georgia Supreme Court calls it paradigm number 1 and paradigm number 2.
Okay.
In paradigm number 1, let's say candidate A defeats candidate B by 10 votes.
Right.
Candidate B comes back and he says, I see 15 illegal.
Wow, we lost you again.
Suit.
There you go.
And 15 is greater than 10, so the suit progresses. And then they hear the evidence and everything, and candidate B presents his evidence of 15 illegal votes. And the judge looks at the evidence and he says, greater than 10. So under the law, it places that election in doubt. It does not matter who people voted for. A lot of people have this.
We're losing you, Mark.
Ballots in this country, and that's not knowable. So it's not discoverable. It's not enterable into evidence. So, you know, all the court cares about is legal and illegal votes, irregular votes, and systemic irregularities. And so that's scenario number one. You go vote by vote by vote by vote, and you make your case. Paradigm number two, the court defined as issues that cannot be addressed in the same discrete manner as under paradigm number one. And the issues that happened here in Georgia in 2020, they were systemic. They occurred in every single county in the state. They occurred in every single state house.
Checks in the mail, Jade.
Huh?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was talking to Jade.
Yeah, they happen in every House district, every Senate district, and in
Right.
congressional districts too, which makes it a federal issue. So, anyway, that's the deal with the residency issues. And so I guess they finally seem to decide this is a legit thing because that analysis was put in the Trump Georgia lawsuit, and I was prepared to go in.
Oh, we lost
cases.
We lost you. Go back like 30 seconds. We lost you.
Oh,
sorry.
So I've been an expert witness.
Oh man. We lost you again, bro. Oh, we're losing you for a long time now.
Oh, sorry.
Nah, we understand.
Where'd I lose you?
The beginning, because you went right out again. Like now.
This is so frustrating.
You're back. I know. It sucks, man. I got another article I want to bring up.
We go in and defend the analysis in court, but we never got the chance. The case never got heard.
Yeah. Let me bring this one up.
The phone call. So yeah, they kind of had it out in that phone call. If you read the transcript.
Yeah, let me bring it. You want to go over it?
The narrative coming out of it was that Trump was trying to get Raffensperger to basically manufacture illegal votes for him.
Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to say. It was nothing of the sort. He was reading, guys. He was the president of the United States was reading down this man's.
Been for a month.
Yeah, he was reading down this man's analysis when it happened. All right, attention, everybody. This is very important. Jimmy from Philly is getting a shower. Okay. That is all. All right. Let me jump over to this one and tell me what you think it is. Hang on. Share. What am I doing? Here we go. Ready for this? Judge rules that states have the right to ask for proof of citizenship to vote. Man, that just killed 1 million Democrats, right? So let me read this down. This was Steve wrote this one too. He writes a lot. Because states can force people who want to register to vote to produce proof of citizenship, this is a major setback for Democrats who have flooded the country with illegal aliens who can then take advantage of the system to vote. I've often wondered what the founding fathers would say about abortion, illegal immigration, transgender ideology, and the other radical policies of the Democrats. They point to the Constitution to prove that abortion is permissible, but no one even considered the fact that people would want to kill their babies back in those times. Maybe there were, but it wasn't as open as it is today. They also never considered that men would want to become women or women want to become men. Yeah, that's a whole psycho thing right there. And they definitely never expected to let millions of illegals enter the country to vote. But you want to know something? That frickin' Justice John Roberts is the one that allowed them to include illegals in our census count. Because remember, in 2020, Trump said, no way, they're not citizens. But the problem, the thing that they want is they get back then in 2020, they weren't thinking about losing that census caused blue states to lose congressional seats and electors, okay, because they lost population. But back then, they were concerned about federal grants going to a state. The amount of money was based on how many people in your population. So if, like, for example, no offense, Bobby, but in California, he's from California. He hasn't escaped yet. But in California, if they were to say illegal aliens we're not going to be counted, I mean, the federal grants would go way down because there's a lot of illegals in California. So that's why they wanted them in there. And Roberts, for whatever reason, he bought their argument saying, well, in the census clause, the founders never put in there they had to be citizens. And see, my argument to them would have been, well, because the founders never thought we would have slime bags like Democrats today that would make that argument. Because, I mean, it was so obvious that the census was supposed to count citizens that they didn't put it in there.
Right.
So that's what they did. But on this, let's see. Arizona Republicans passed HB 2492, introduced by Jake Hoffman, which says you must prove your citizenship to register to vote. This law includes federal voters who are not required to prove their citizenship to vote. I would favor a federal law mandating the deportation of any illegal who registers to vote and then votes. Actually, I would favor deporting anyone who votes for Democrats. He's got a sense of humor sometimes. Joe Biden's Department of Justice previously sued Arizona. Now, do you guys remember when Barack Obama sued Jan Brewer? Do you remember that, Mark?
Yeah.
He sued Jan Brewer. She signed a bill into law that said that that police, state and local police, were allowed to arrest an illegal and take them to the federal building. Now, this all came about because Barack Obama, when they complained and said, look, we got this illegal problem here. I don't know if you guys know this, but back then, and probably today, Phoenix, Arizona was the number 2 city for kidnappings. And the reason why was because that was one of the main arteries that the cartel guys would come with the backpacks with all the drugs, right? They'd come straight through Phoenix. And their message, their knowledge was that the cartel guys that run the cartels, they said, look, you either come back with the money or the product, or we kill your family, everyone, and the people they love, right? So what would happen is rival gangs would be in the United States, in Phoenix, and they would steal the drugs from them. And so they had to come up with $350,000 somehow. So they would kidnap 3 or 4 people for ransom to get that $350,000. And this was a big problem. So the legislature creates this law because Barack Obama said, I'd love to do it, but just don't have the power. And so he was saying basically they didn't have the agents. They didn't have the manpower to do something like that. I mean, you got one job, that kind of thing, So they made this law that said, okay, we'll do your job for you. We will incarcerate, we'll capture them and take them right over to the federal building. Well, Barack Obama sued, and he pretty much won. Now, the judge only threw out a couple things because a couple things were legal. But in Article 1, Section 8, there's what's called the enumerated powers. There's 18 of them, and one of them is that the Congress has the right to form an uniform rule of naturalization, which means they're in charge of immigration laws. But it doesn't really mean that a state can't defend itself if they're being invaded. And I think Article 1, Section 10 literally says all the things that states had to give up when they joined the union for protection and all that, because now the federal government would do it. But at the end of that, the Democrats never want to remember where it says, unless the state is being invaded. So in other words, Article 1, Section 10, I believe it's 10, says that a state may declare war if they are being invaded. Is Texas being invaded? You're goddamn right it's being invaded. So they have the right to declare war. And so the same thing happened out in Arizona. And I remember when Barack Obama, he made his argument saying that it was racist because, you could have a Hispanic couple out on a Sunday and they were having ice cream. And a police officer would come up and ask for your status. Well, first of all, the law stipulated that they couldn't do that. It was a secondary thing. In other words, if they were pulled over for a traffic violation, then they could ask for their license. And if the person produced a valid license, it was over. They couldn't ask status, right? And that's what Obama said that they could do, that they could just go up and ask a question when they couldn't. However, at the time, the feds, they could do that. And to this day, they can. They could go up to anybody and go, do you have proof of citizenship? They can literally do it because they're allowed, right? So the law went on the wayside. So now we have the Biden administration pretty much doing the same thing. It says Joe Biden's Department of Justice previously sued Arizona over this law, citing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA. But illegal aliens do not and should not be protected because their very existence in this country is not legal. The law also mandates that the voter rolls be stripped of any voter who dies or moves out of the state. Now, the reason I read this, Mark, what do you think about that they created a state law that messes with the NVRA, saying, no, we will now, because you know more than I do that the NVRA tells all 50 secretaries of state, you got to keep certain people on your rolls for a number of years. And that would be dead people and people who moved out of the state, people who would never know that they just voted.
Yeah. I kind of had my world rocked just earlier today. I have a friend on the state election board, and she called and she was concerned that there are registrations being accepted. The application is being accepted, and they're being issued a voter registration number before the application gets approved. So then the question becomes, if the application gets denied, how do you get that voter back off the rolls? Because you've just put them on. And under the NVRA, the reality is, in a scenario like that, they may have no alternative but to put them through the whole aging out process. And for those of you who aren't aware how that works, let's say you move from Georgia to Tennessee, okay? And they pick that up when they run NCOA. They send you a letter to verify that you moved and you don't respond. What happens is they put you on inactive status, and you have to stay on inactive status for 2 more federal elections. So
right,
to take a voter off the rolls literally takes years sometimes. And are there illegal aliens on our rolls? Yes. The deal with that, years ago, the default answer when you get your driver's license to, do you want to register to vote? The default answer was yes. So some of the clerks got lazy and just hit enter and kept going.
Yeah.
And now we're back to automatic registration again. And quite frankly, I bet if there was a thorough investigation done on the voter file, we'd find illegal aliens left and right.
Absolutely. I believe that too. I think we would. In fact, like I said, what was it, 90 or 96,000 illegals voted in the 2018 election, according to Tom Fitton and his analysis. That's crazy. That's just absolutely crazy.
Speaking of the NVRA and Tom Fitton, that guy's been doing some great work suing states for failure to comply with the NVRA. There are some list maintenance provisions in the NVRA. In my view, they're pretty much the bare minimum. But Tom Fitton goes out and actually sues states that don't even do the bare minimum. God bless him.
God bless him is right, man. We need more people like that on our side. The left, Christ, think of the money they got. They got George Soros. They got the Tides Foundation. They got the Joyce Foundation. They got the Ford Foundation. Guys, like, for example, the Joyce Foundation, okay? If you're like a billionaire and you're a leftist and you hate America and you want to fund left-wing causes that, hate America, but you don't want people to know that it's you, you can send your donation and even earmark it if you want, or you can say, just spread it around, everybody. And you could earmark it, and the Tides Foundation, the Joyce Foundation, the Ford Foundation, they will literally take your money and put it towards that. So this is why you've got organizations that have more money than government departments. Seriously, like the what is it? Like the Sierra Club and all that, the climate change people and all that. They have some of these groups, when you add them together, they have a larger budget than the EPA, which is like the largest budgeted office in the country. I think more than the military. And they get it from all. Now, who do we have? You got the Koch brothers. Yeah, okay. They were worth like $210 million, right? And now it's only Koch, because the brother died, right? So the Koch brothers, and they were libertarians. I call them losertarians. They were libertarians anyway. They were like rhino establishments. That's who they would mostly fund. So who did we have? Nobody. Conservatives, America First type people before it became popular to call it that. We didn't have anybody. The left, they've got an army of people bankrolling. It's unreal.
Yeah, it really is. In the Fair Fight versus True the Vote case, those people had so much money that when I went through depositions, I ended up having two. In the first one, it was me and two attorneys, and then two attorneys for the other side. Okay. And then it was on a Zoom call, and there was a whole sea of lurkers out there, just faceless lurkers. And when I got done, I got a hold of my lawyer and I said, what the heck was that? Who were all these lurkers? And she said, Democrat lawyers. I said, you got to be kidding me. She said, no. I said, oh my God, how much did that deposition cost? She said, probably about 30 grand. I had two of them. That was just me.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that Fair Fight at the time when Stacey Abrams was at her zenith, I mean, they were just.
Fair Fight is her organization, guys.
Yeah. They were just full of money. I think it was $90 million that they had in 2020.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question. You're from Georgia. What is it with Stacey Abrams? Like, she seems to be the choice of the DNC. All right, I'm going to hell for this. She's not an attractive woman. Okay. I mean, she's not. I know many black women that are like, what the fuck there, right? She's not an attractive woman. She's a progressive, so she's a lunatic. She's a whiny little bitch claiming voter suppression when there is none. Because I think when she was testifying in Congress in the Senate, Ted Cruz ran her down the list and said, "Who's the number one group that is registering?" I don't know, but you'll tell me. Yeah, African Americans. Who's the number one group that actually voted for the first time? I'm sure you'll tell. Yeah, African Americans. So where's the voter suppression? Right? So what is it with it? Why do they? And she's a loser. I mean, she's lost every single time, right? So what is it with her? Why do they love her so much? What is it?
Well, it's a lot of it has to do with virtue signaling. When she was in the Georgia legislature, she was kind of a nobody. One of the bills that I like to talk about quite a bit, especially in the gun control debate, she put a bill in the hopper that would have banned my plinker, my AR-15, and it would have sent the GBI to my house to confiscate it.
Oh, get out.
I kid you not. You hear these lefties online, this whole meme from the right about us trying to take your weapons, that's just BS, blah, blah, blah. No, she literally put a bill in the hopper to have the GBI come to my house and confiscate my plinker.
Jesus.
I mean, that is an attempted gun grab right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is.
But she was not really remarkable when she was in the Georgia legislature. But, when she started making noises about running for governor, and she did fairly well, obviously. People just started climbing on board, and it was a lot of virtue signaling, especially because she was talking about racial issues.
Yeah.
This is the thing. The left will manufacture, inflame, and then exploit those issues for all they're worth because they work. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you this. Everybody here probably has heard of or seen the Sherwin-Williams logo. Cover the world in paint. It's got to be the world's worst marketing campaign. But one thing I learned years ago is that if a company has been spending money on a marketing campaign, no matter how bad it is, if they've been doing it for a number of years, it must on some level be working. And that's kind of analogous to Democrat race hustling. On some level, it must work or they would quit doing it. But I think America's getting really tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Isn't that awful?
That is terrible. It's like, oh my God, it's bleeding. Oh my God, that is awful, man. Jesus Christ. Oh God Almighty. Let me see.
Anyway, we've covered a lot of stuff here, Rich. Does anybody have questions?
Yeah, anybody got any questions? Anybody want to pop in? I'll put the link out. What's .earth? .earth. Let me see if I got something else. Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff today. That's pretty good. I appreciate you coming in, man. Guys, I only gave him like 3 hours notice because I forgot. I'm like, oh shit, I want to bring Mark on. I forgot. I'm just glad you weren't busy tonight.
Yeah, happy to. It's been a hectic day. It's just wow. That starting with that ruling this morning, and it just went from there.
I know, isn't that
crazy?
Oh man, I was.
See how it shakes out.
I was really surprised that he kept her on the case. And basically his answer was, he said, well, you have a problem here with this promiscuity. Well, with the little thing, you got to end that. What about she lied?
Yeah.
You know, she lied to the court. Does that not count for anything?
Of course.
I mean, really? Seriously, man.
Good to see you, Damien.
Let me see. Some days I find it easy to laugh at all the bullshit in politics, and some days it does my head in, and I get pissed off. Is that normal? I ask because HB can watch hours of this daily and not react. HB is he goes by Hard Bastard. He's like us underground guys that do live streams and all. He's like the guy that we all look up to because he here's what he does. We usually have to watch what we say, right? Because YouTube, the commies, they'll yank you. Yeah, I mean, my brother brings guys in sometimes and they accidentally say the N-word, and so he has to delete the video because you do that. And rightfully so, they will. You know, they'll go after you. So, what's called it? God damn, I forget where I was going with that.
You're talking about HB.
Oh yeah. So he said, HB. So HB is a guy that what he does is he's doing what we're doing here, but he just has a million links going across his browser, and he'll do stories. But the way he talks is he says any damn thing he wants. He doesn't care. He says the F word for gay people. He says the N word. He says just like you name it. He's against transgender. He's against all that. And he says whatever he wants. And he's very much worth watching. Very much worth watching. And he deletes his videos afterwards. So when you go to his channel, it says this channel has no catalog.
Let me throw one out there for everybody. Couple of them. There's a guy here in Atlanta who is a former divorce attorney turned YouTuber, and he and his whole crew have been doing fantastic work when it comes to following this whole Fani Willis, Nathan Wade saga.
Yeah,
he is hysterical, and they're not left wing or anything, and I don't think they're really conservative either. They're more conservative than a lot of black folks in Atlanta. They're pretty fair minded, and then there's another one, Melanie King. She's worth paying attention to, and also Megyn Kelly and Phil. His last name escapes me. But they're doing a great job of following this Fani Willis stuff too.
What about Nate the lawyer?
Here in Atlanta,
Nate the lawyer.
To it. I'm sorry.
Isn't there a guy that goes by like Nate the lawyer? He's a black guy.
Nate the lawyer and the lead attorney, they're both friends.
Okay.
They have.
I watched him the other day. I like him. I subbed to his channel. I like him.
Yeah.
He's a guy. Guys, Nate the lawyer is a black guy who. He sits, with his headphones on and all. He's got the big glasses, and you would think, all right, he's either a football coach, or he drives a truck. And then he's listening to the court and all that, and he'll stop it, and he'll give you his legal spiel on it, And but the way he does it is very understandable by a non-legal person. And he was a cop. Yeah, Jimmy said he was a cop at one point. And yeah, he's just cool to watch his show, because you think like, because you're like watching him, you're like, all right, this guy's down. That's pretty cool. And then he throws that legal shit, and you're like, whoa, dude knows what he's talking about. So I subbed him and I watch him every now and then. He's not a Trump supporter.
The lead attorney has practiced in Atlanta for like 20 years or something like that. And he knows a lot of these people personally. So he's especially fun to watch, but he does not pull any punches.
Oh, I know.
And Melanie King, she's hysterical. When she refers to Fani Willis, she calls her fanny pack. She's hysterical.
Yeah, I call her Fanny, even though it's supposed to be Fani.
Fani. Yeah, right.
Smack her in the Fani. Yeah. Really rock women's soccer league. All right. I didn't know that.
Well, Rich, I'm thinking probably about dinner time here. I'm getting hungry.
Take off? All right, brother. Thank you for coming, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
Again,
for having me.
Again, what is your stuff if people want to find it? Because there's new people in here. If they want to find you, where do you go?
I put my email in the chat if anybody wants to get a hold of me. Otherwise, I'm on Facebook, Swamp Hunter. I have a Twitter, Mark Davis, GOP. So
cool, man. Anyway. Appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Thanks for being here, brother.
All right, bye.
I'll see you later, man. All right, I'm by myself. Jimmy, you want to come in? Lou, you want to come in? Anybody want to come in? All right, tell you what. I'm going to put the invite out. Anybody wants to come in, you can come in. There it is. See you in backstage. I'll pull you in. Let me see what else I can go over. I think I read all the stories we did today anyway. Let me see what we got. Mississippi Secretary of State calls on DOJ to cease enforcing Biden's executive order that allows illegals to register to vote. Oh man, I wish he was still here. I would love to go over that. Oh man. Let's see, anybody here? Anybody takers? I don't see anybody yet. Jimmy, you done showering? Let's see what else we got. I don't feel like hanging up just yet. Oh, man. Can you believe it? Let me see. President. Get that off. Roger, you can come in if you want. It's up to you, man. Did you guys get that link? Yeah, there it is. There be the link. What do you guys want to talk about? Bring up a subject. I'm game for anything right now. Waterproof keyboard in the shower. Well, he came back and said Jimmy wiped. So I think he's out. I think he's out of the shower now. Let me see. What is it? Mississippi? Yeah, there it is. So we got that. Let me see here. So we had Mississippi Secretary of State calls the DOJ for enforcing Biden. So Mississippi Secretary of State Michael Watson has issued a letter to the Department of Justice pleading with them to stop Biden's executive order that could allow illegal aliens to register to vote. Wait till you hear this. The executive order 14019 was signed by Joe Biden March of 2021. Although there is a claim that Biden introduced the executive order, however, Watson claims that the EO is being misused. Watson stated in his letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland, these efforts are an intrusion into state matters and are a misuse of the federal revenue and resources. It's like, guys, it's like the Democrats are doing everything and anything they can to cheat. Wiped supremacy. Jimmy, you want to come in? I don't even know if he's still here. The fall of Canada. Yeah, we got some Canadians in here that They call it China now. Nano's one. Where the hell is Commander? He's probably working. I hit him up on Discord, but he probably wasn't on. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a shame that what's his name? Special K. Yeah, the Special K's not here. Special K is this professional drummer, Jade, and apparently he's really good. Some guys in here were pushing him, and I went to his channel one time. I'll email you his channel when I remember it. Put out the link. There you go. Jimmy's coming in. Thank you for being here, Jade. I really appreciate it. Jade is probably, and I think Jade, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a little mark next to your name in comments. I don't know if only I see it because it's my channel, but it says like you're the top poster. You really are. So Jade, I took notice of Jade because Jade sometimes puts comments in and says the things that exactly I would say. And I'm like, damn, I wish I came up with that. Good to see you, Jay. Thank you for spending the time here. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Hit those drums, girl. She's a drummer. I saw her kit. It's nice. You coming in, Jim? Yeah, Nana, when you're done, I'm going to be here for a little while. So when you're done, here's Jimmy. Hey, what's up, bro? What's up, dude? Jimmy from Philly in the house. Here we go. No gamer words, Jim. Yeah, he won't.
Them fucking.
Yeah. All right. So how was work, man? You working, right?
Work sucked.
Yeah.
That's why they pay you.
Yeah, Nana, when you want, come in. I'll bring you up. Yeah, Nana was part of that night that you left.
Jeremiah asked a question. How do we come in? He put out a link.
Oh, yeah. I'll put the link out again, man.
You tap the link, it'll to ask you to allow for your camera and for your audio.
Yeah. And then you'll be backstage and we'll just bring you in. Guys, look, I'm new to the live stream thing. Jimmy's the pro. I'm not. I do uploaded videos. How was that okay for you guys tonight?
Yeah, it was all right. Richie, it was all right.
All right. Good.
You held an audience for a while, so.
Yeah, dude, I had 20 for a while there.
You had
15
21.
Now.
You had
21. No shit. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Bobbity. Yeah, because I figure I'm going to start doing them unless HB takes over Friday. I'm going to start doing them every Friday now.
I think you're kind of competing with Salty Cracker, but so what?
Yeah, but he only does like an hour, Jim. And doesn't he come on at like 8 o'clock?
I thought he came on earlier than that.
He's Cali, sure. So he's in Cali, right? Or no? Did he move?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Lou. You can come in too, Lou. Yeah, Lou. That's the guy I used to tell you about. The guy I knew in Georgia, who's like in the middle of all this stuff. He's a pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's
guy.
live. Salty Cracker's live now. Almost 6,000 people.
Yeah, 6,000 people. Yeah, hopefully someday, right? Thanks, Pax.
Richie, you ought to tell Mark to come in on his cell phone's hotspot next time.
Yeah, you know what? I have an app that does a hotspot for you. Like for example, it works for me because I have unlimited data, right? And so, yeah. Thanks, Pax. Yeah, he's always a good guest. If you're into the stuff that we talk about. Yeah, Wi-Fi not for Mark Davis. There's this app I have. It's a Wi-Fi app, but you use your phone to create the Wi-Fi link, and it pops up in like all your devices. It'll be in that list.
Rich, do you know why Bobbity said that?
No. Oh, because
listen, at my rooming house, right, that I used to run, right?
Right.
I had an Asian landlord, And I told her the Wi-Fi is so fucked up, I can't even use it for the TV. She's like, Wi-Fi not for TV.
That's hilarious.
I swear to God. I was like, what?
That's hilarious.
Wi-Fi not for TV.
Yeah. Anyway, so this what this app does, guys, is it uses your data from your phone as a hotspot, but you don't have to pay for a hotspot because the phone company doesn't know.
Yeah, but
it's really cool.
Richie, listen to me. Most people have a certain amount of hotspot that comes with your phone now.
A lot of people don't, though, Jim. A lot of people
don't.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't. But this, you don't even have to use it. We had Jimmy. The way I found this was one day.
I think I tried to use it and I couldn't do it.
A tree limb fell, and it made a sound. No, a tree limb fell outside and it tore down the wire that came for our cable, and so we had no fucking cable. I'm like, the devolution of man, right? So I found this app and I'm watching TV through my phone. I'm like, holy shit, this thing works, because I had 5G, so it's pumping 5G into my TV because I just use that as the Wi-Fi, which is really good, and and it's free. You don't have to pay for it.
So you really think that
Bobbity says, I got a hot spot and it cools down when I stop rubbing it. Jeff Toobin. Remember who Jeff Toobin is, Jim?
Yeah, well, I was
CNN guy
say,
got caught jerking off during
Richie hit Jeff Toobin came into my mind. Mark had said something about being on a Zoom call or something, and I was going to tell you, did he jerk off doing it?
He will never live it down. But
I restrained myself.
But the worst thing was that CNN brought him back. Like, what?
I know.
But I think they brought him back for an interview. They brought Don Lemon back for an interview recently.
No, I think Toobin's working for CNN again.
Is he? They brought him in again as a legal analyst?
I'm almost positive.
Oh man. Toobin survived a series of strokes.
Toobin still working for CNN. I hate this fucking thing.
Oh man, I wrote an article about it back then. I had women write to me and say, normally I wouldn't think that humor is great, but you're funny as hell. Because I put every goddamn cliche you could think of into the article for.
Yeah, Rich, there's a video on Jeffrey Toobin returns to CNN and addresses his absence.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Rich, he 23 hours ago he did a segment. It's just a 1 minute clip. I don't know how long he did it. Why Toobin finds it's outrageous the Manhattan DA is willing to what?
Yeah.
Willing to delay Trump hush money trial. He finds it outrageous.
That's the other thing. What? So
I find it outrageous that he beat his dick on the fucking Zoom.
Well, no, she goes. Stormy Daniels signs an NDA, takes what was it, $130,000 or something like that, to shut her mouth. And I don't really give a shit if he banged her or not. And so although I have a good argument that he didn't, and I heard it from Rudy Giuliani.
I think she says he didn't.
Yeah, she even did say it. She said it never happened, but a lot of people say, "Oh, it's because she signed an NDA." But and her lawyer was right next to her and said, "Yeah, it never happened. It never happened." So, yeah, cash whore. But so now so what was the crime? She signs an NDA, and she's the one that brings it up and says, "I want to break the NDA, but I don't want to give you the money because I don't have it." Right? So where the fuck is the crime? So they tried to make a crime out of it because they wanted to stop Trump from beating Hillary. So it's like, wait a minute.
Well, I think they were trying to claim. I think they were trying to claim because he didn't put it down in his books as,
well,
what it really was.
The way Jimmy, the way Rudy Giuliani mentioned it, he said, Michael Cohen was a lawyer for a billionaire, a personal lawyer. He goes, I have done that. I was a personal lawyer for billionaires. He said, billionaires all the time get people who try to extort them for money. because they figured
I heard
we'll just pay it off and that's it. I'll make money.
I heard Rudy do that.
Maybe other people here didn't. So he said, yeah. So he said, so he's. Oh, I have your thing here, Jim, somewhere. So Rudy said, that they pay it off. There it is. That's your thing. You left it here. But it smells. God damn, that perfumey shit. But so he said, that they don't have they're so busy that they don't have the time to deal with stuff like that. So they get their lawyer, and their lawyer has a bank account of the billionaires that he could write any amount he sees fit. So here Cohen goes and writes the check himself. I think he took a fucking mortgage on his house to write the check because he didn't want to bother his boss. So then later on, Trump pays him back, right? Where's the crime? So they said that they put the books to reflect something else, but it wasn't exactly a lie, but it depended on how you read it. It was quite clever, if you think. It was crafty, the way they did it. But again, where's the crime?
Yeah. All them charges against him are ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm telling you, every fucking charge they got against him.
Now, I've heard Dershowitz say more than once that the records case is the most troubling one for Trump.
What records case?
Against Trump, the classified documents.
No, that one's falling apart, Jim. Right now, as of today, that case is falling apart, and the judge, Eileen, Cannon, she's probably going to throw the whole thing out. She just gave them, the Trump legal team, another avenue to appeal again because of targeted persecution, because they didn't go after Joe Biden, who clearly didn't have the right to have them,
right?
But they went after Trump. So that case, I think, is falling apart. A lot of people don't know this, right? Well, in New Orleans, there was a U.S. attorney in New Orleans, and Jack Smith was the assistant U.S. attorney there. Okay, so when the U.S. attorney was retiring, what normally happens is his assistant gets bumped up, and then they bring in a new assistant, right? But at the time, the president at the time said, I don't want this guy. He's a bum. He had a 9-0 overturn in the Supreme Court. You can't get those 9 people to decide to agree like what's for dinner, right? So he had a 9-0. There were other things that were said about it. He was as bad as Weissman, right? Andrew Weissman, right? Slimeball lawyer. So and he goes after Republicans, and he fakes data. He fakes evidence. He withholds exculpation. He's kind of like the January 6th committee, right? So the president says, no, I'm going to get somebody else. So he resigns in disgust. That president was Donald Trump, because Trump knew he was a bum, that he was a bad prosecutor, right? So he's held a fucking grudge ever since. So they make him the special prosecutor. So the motherfucker has a problem with Trump, and they make him the special prosecutor. It's unbelievable.
Well, it's going to be interesting is how the Supreme Court rules on immunity.
Yeah, you know what? He may have a problem with that.
Because they don't just have Trump to consider; they have every other president.
Yes, but what they could do, and Trump has an argument for this too. They could say that yes, you have presidential immunity when you are acting as a president. You were not acting as a president when you were there on January 6th. That's what they could say.
But
they could
Rich,
argue.
What did he do or say?
He did nothing. Well, Jimmy, they're trying to say that because here's their logic that they don't say out loud, but I know these people. They're saying because he continually said that it was a rigged election, that it was stolen, that got people ginned up to the point where they created an insurrection and they killed 5 police officers that day. We know that because Joe Biden said it. No police officers died that day. 2 people died that day. 2 people. Roseanne Boylan and Ashley Babbitt. They died that day. Even Sicknick died the next day. Yeah, they're saying he incited violence. That's what they're saying. And people are saying, how do you incite violence by saying, and now we will march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol to let our voices be heard?
There's no way he could be legitimately convicted of that based on what he said.
I know. Well, see, you're right about this. Trump went around saying, look, because I heard him on all the interviews. He said, look, he goes, it's not just me. He said, if you could be sued for something, taken to court after you're out of the White House, you would hold the president captive. Because think about this, Jim. How many fair fight groups are out there, low lives that get lots of money from George Soros and everybody else, right? How many of them would be sitting around champing at the bit, right, to wait for him to get out of office so they could sue him? And for no other reason than to let the next guy that wants to run as a Republican to think, you know what, I'm going to get fucking sued when I ain't running, right? Think about that. Think about that. That's why I believe Trump's right. But the court may say, and you're right, though, they may say, no, you weren't acting as president, but he was president. You know, and you're right. It's every president in the future.
How can he not act as president when he's president? That's
well, because he wasn't acting in the capacity. Like Jimmy, if he's taking a shit in the White House bathroom,
that's a presidential shit.
Is he acting as president taking a shit?
Yes. Yes.
Well, there's an argument.
Because he's always the president.
You see how when Mark left, the show went downhill? We're talking about taking a shit in the White House. I love it.
Don't put we in it. You brought that shit up.
Well, yeah, that shit up. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Do that again.
Linda got fresh ice. The hell are you drinking, Linda?
So, Jim, what? So, if you don't want to talk about it, don't. But so, what happened with Chris?
He called the next day and it looked like nothing happened. That's what he does.
Well, then you know what? Just when he's getting on your nerves, just think, you know what? Tomorrow's another day.
Fucking idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
By the way, guys, Lou Stellabot is a long time. Has it been 20 years, Lou? We are longtime friends too. Jimmy, I think you know Lou. He's from the neighborhood. He lived on Markle.
Is he the guy when we were at the bar, I said the N-word and you told him he has a black family?
Yeah. We were just messing with you, Jim. That's him.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
He and I were at the same bar. We were at Graham's, right? And we're standing there, and there's these two good-looking girls on the other side of the bar, right? And then they were like flirting with us. So the one girl yells something over the bar, but we couldn't hear because of the music. And I almost went, Jimmy, I used to do this. I almost went, I can't hear you, like that, right? So I'm about to do it, and the two girls start talking to each other in sign, and I'm like, holy shit, I just almost did that, right? So he turns to me and he goes, "You son of a bitch!" He goes, "You almost did the fucking I can't hear you." That was in Graham's too. Bag o' nickels. Yeah, I used to say, like, when the ugly chicks would come up and hit on us, they'd be like, "You look like you were hit in the face with a bag of nickels."
I ought to have somebody come on with me over my shoulder on Dr. K and be doing like gang signals and shit.
Jimmy, did I tell you about my skit for you that you guys should do?
My interpreter.
I have a skit you guys could do that I think would actually be funny. I don't think a lot of the skits you guys did were funny, but no offense. I have one that I think would be funny and sends a message. You know how you go into supermarkets now, and a lot of them are saying, well, we don't give out plastic bags because, you know, the environment, right? So they don't do plastic bags anymore. You look, what the fuck? You got to bring your own or pay for a paper bag. So I think what you guys should do is go around and buy like regular groceries. And if you notice, every single grocery that you buy just about comes in a plastic container.
Yeah,
so what you do is you get up to the conveyor belt and you tear everything out of the fucking bags because you don't want to take plastic home because, my God, it's bad for the environment. And then hand the cashiers all the bags and go, look, this is plastic. We can't have this. Have her check out all the fucking items. that are on the conveyor belt with no container. I think that would be funny.
Oh, shit.
Let's see. Let me see what else Liberal Hive Mind had. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's all right. He blew up in the last year or so.
Yeah. He's got over 1 million, I think, people.
Look at Pac-Man. Pac-Man has over 2 million people. And that's all based on bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to challenge Pac-Man to debate HB on Dr. K.
Oh, that ain't going to happen. Did you see him on that PDB guy, whatever his name is, the guy from Iran?
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy, I saw a video the other day. I like that guy, right?
Yeah, he's all right.
Jimmy, listen to me. I saw a video the other day. You know how he's a millionaire and all that in business and all that? Right. He's a scam artist. He was an MLM scam artist. He was with PHP, which is an MLM company.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day about that.
Yeah, he scammed people. In other words, the MLM shit, the top guys are the only ones that make money. That's it. And they come up with all these psychological ways to get you to put even more money in to get higher up because you're going to make better money, even though you made no money at all. But they're real good at it. Martin Luther Ming. That's funny. Oh, come up with some of the names they call Sean King. The white guy that started, that did, what was it, BLM? Or no, not BLM. What was it? Where did he start? I forget.
The white
They
guy
call him Talcum X because he's white. They call him Talcum X. He's like the male Rachel Dolezal. Yeah, Talcum X.
Well, Richie, he did a video where he had his father online.
Yeah.
And he's talking to his father, and his father's always getting money out of him. And he's berating his father. Like, who does that? Like, okay, his father is working for money, but why would you bring your dad in front of the world to berate your father online? You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do that.
Here you go. Here's the definitive list. These are funny. Let me get this. Hang on. There's a fucking list. Hold on. I'll pull them in. These are great. Share screen. There it is. Okay, ready? So he's got Talcum X, Thurgood Partial, W.E.B. Dublank, Martin Luther Cream, Hewlett P. Newton, Broderick Douglas, Mayo Angelou, Stevie L. Wonder. Oh, that's funny. Samuel L. Jackson, Honky Kong, No J. Simpson, Jaleel White, Betty White, Betty White. That's funny as shit. Thurgood Marshmallow, Richard Dolezal. Yeah, as I said. Whack Panther, Ghost Malone, Martin Luther Keyboard. There you go. That was, I think that was Bobby said that. Iggy Apelia, Chalka Khan, T. Chalka, Pale Revere, Powder Ranger, Harriet Topman, Nelson Maniello. Oh, God, that's funny. Stevie Wonderbread, Cream Abdul-Jabbar, Tupac Sugar, Crooker T. Washington, Milk Chamberlain, GoFundMe Washington Carver, Reverend Jesse.
He makes money on that bullshit, though.
Yeah, I know he does. James Pearl Jones, Count Chocula, Django Uncolored, Reverend Jesse Fraction, Alexander Scamilton, Albino Sharpton, oh, Blankson Hughes, Neil deGrasse, You White Son. Oh, that's funny as shit. What's number 40? Top Bro Winfrey, Louis Fairskin. I call him Farrakhan or Farrakhan. Samuel L. Non-Blackson and James Fraudwin. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a real jack.
Oh, I wanted to put can you put my new channel in the chat?
Oh, what is you can do it. You got it. You can do it.
I'm unsure.
You can do anything I can do right now. It'll go out as my name, though. I'm going to put the link out again.
Oh, it will? Oh, all right.
It'll come up with my name. If you put it in here, it'll come up. Because every time I put in the chat under your channel, it puts your name out. Only because you came in, we're in the same StreamYard. That's the only reason. Punning Kruger. Morgan Fraud.
Yeah, there's my new temporary channel for the next week or so. So there's my new channel.
Created, or was it an older one?
No, that's the one that I was. Whatever. Let's not confuse things.
Yeah.
That I can stream on this channel now until the other one, the strikes are up.
Oh, cool.
So,
good.
So any of my people subscribe. We got 15 people so far.
What you mean, your people? Let me see what else we got. I think I've exerted as much as I can for that. I didn't know there was a transcript of the phone call. That's pretty cool. But I want to see what else. Let's see.
Oh, I got 17 people now.
What's that?
I got 17 people now.
Oh, you do? Yeah, I'll go in and I'll do it too. Let me do this. Screen. There we go. Let's play this. It's a little salty.
The one conservatives love to get wrong, one we're obsessed with here in the show. There has been a big decrease in violent crime under President Biden. 2020 was one of the most dangerous years in America in decade under Donald Trump. Violent crime spiked around the country. It spiked in both urban and rural areas.
And it's
but
Trump's fault.
Every year, the Biden administration, violent crime has come down.
Meanwhile,
You got another taser? You're going to have to get him, like, in the chest.
come on, man. Stop. Stop.
Starting to piss me off. Boom. Alec kablam. It couldn't possibly be a kablam, though, because I was told by this dipshit with adreno deficit syndrome that violent crime is down. And they've got a graph. Boys, look at this. Look at this. There's a whole thing right here. It says violent crime. And then it says, look at this, you stupid blumble bluff racist republitard. Violent crime is down. No, that's weird. Why was violent crime so high in 2020 when Antifa and BLM were running around killing black people during Black Lives Matter riots with impunity? Oh, it's because cocksuckers like Chris Hayes and the dipshits at MSNBC was telling everybody, oh, don't worry about the burning building behind me. It's mostly peacefully fiery, but peacefully mostly. What the fuck you, criminal. That dude right there, other than being an ugly son of a bitch, that's coming from me with this fucked up nose. You propagandist cocksucker, we're going to arrest you. Because you can't possibly be this dumb. So they're telling you violent crime's down, violent crime's down. Look at the graph. Actually, violent crime's been debunked and fact-checked, racist Republicans. That's fucking weird because I keep seeing this right here where dudes with machetes.
And when you don't charge people, of course, crime
constantly walking around. Right there. And in about 30 seconds, he's going to get completely ventilated because he's going to charge the police while mostly peacefully swinging a fucking sword. It's a fucking, look at this guy over here, Black Samurai. Says, hey, you might not have noticed, but crime is down. Yeah, but you're wielding a machete. You're threatening to kill people. Yeah. Threatening to kill people is not against the law in California. Threatening to kill people threatening to decapitate people and then eat them? That's not illegal in California? Of course not. California is fucking stupid. But here you go. Graphic. Authorities released video of a shooting. Man armed with a machete in Lancaster, California. That's right there. I can see it. That's what they go. You gonna blast this son of a bitch in the Valentine aisle? Be mine! Blam, blam, blam.
The guy charges him.
He's going to make it over to the tissue aisle, and he's going to need some. And they deploy tasers at the dude. Like, oh, why'd you have to shoot him? Well, because he's hopped up on angel dust, and God knows what else. And now he's got the opposite of a lead deficiency. That's weird how that works. So, the diversity, inclusion, and equity social workers didn't arrive on scene at the right time, right? They're going, hey, we got a crazy dude over here with a machete. Should we send in the social workers? All the social workers like, we're on break. We're on break right now, right? I got an OSHA mandated break. Well, when are you going to be done with that break? I don't know how long it's going to take for you guys to shoot him. And then they're going to come out later on and complain. I can't believe they shot him. Oh my God. Can't believe you shot him. The dude was charging the police with a sword. I mean, come on. I mean, are they supposed to do some sort of Black Knight Monty Python sketch and let the dude cut most of them up before they go tis but a scratch and shoot back? No. Fuck no, stupid idiots. But there you go.
Liquid.
So the Joe Biden administration and the other criminals that are propping up this illegitimate regime want you to believe that violent crime is down. None of what happened in Lancaster, California right there is going to be registered and written down as a crime. They'll be like, well, he didn't do anything to anybody, so not a crime. Yeah, well, I think brandishing a sword, threatening to kill people, charging at the cops, I mean, I think all of that seems like a crime. And so they're just going to ignore it. They don't arrest anybody for anything in California. And that's how you get these fucked up, stupid numbers over here where they tell you violent crime is down. Well, you don't arrest you drop. Go look at how many times they drop in charges on rapists, on carjackers. They don't even arrest kids these days when they curb stomp other kids into the ground and put them in critical condition in the hospital. It's like, oh, well, you want us to arrest? Yeah, I want you to arrest that fucking kid. Well, it's just a kid. I don't give a shit. Arrest that kid. Arrest that 17-year-old kid who put somebody in critical condition in the hospital. Oh, come on, man. If we arrest somebody, then we gotta, do an intake process. We got to write up stuff, as charges and paperwork, and then we got to turn those stats over, and it's going to make it look like Joe Biden's America is completely on fire. We don't want to do that because we're a bunch of cocksucker commies over here. And we want to lie to everybody. Charges get dropped. Well, there you go. So how many times have I posted a video of a machete attack in America lately? That's weird. They're on the rise. Of course, they're on the rise. We've got rampant criminality, and now all these third world countries are imploding around us, and they're going to send all their cannibals and prisoners in our direction with that blown out, wide open southern border. And then this same dipshit over here with fetal alcohol syndrome is going to come out and go, border's not open. Border's not open. Right? Migrants don't cause crime. Violent crime actually is down. Fucking criminal scumbag. We need to round up all these criminals and send them to his neighborhood. Where does this motherfucker live? Huh? What neighborhood does he live in? Let's send all of these rabid sons of bitches in that direction, and he'll stop saying stupid shit like this. Oh, wait, he probably won't because he's a stupid cocksucker. But there you have it. All in with Chris Hayes trying to gaslight everybody into believing that violent crime's down. Yeah, the same people that told you there was no inflation. Same people that told you it was the most legitimate election of all time and go out there and take a fuck ton of experimental injections. And by the way, all those kids having heart attacks, that's because of fucking climate change. No. Ain't nobody listening to you, cocksucker. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching the video, supporting the channel. You know what I kept it today on this.
Ah, man. Love the salt. It must flow. Let me tell you something. Years ago, when Fast Eddie Rendell was the mayor of Philadelphia, before he went on to be the DNC chairman for the country, but he was there. And Lou, who's on here, I hope he's still on here. Somebody said goodbye to him. Did he say bye? I didn't see him say bye. But Lou and I went down close to City Hall to volunteer because the GOP was putting their they were going to have their convention, their national convention in Philly that year. And so we went down there and all, and it was a joke. It was people that had nothing to do with the GOP that were supposed to help it out and all that. But I remember I had a cop friend who told me that they got orders in Philly. I don't know how they do it in your place, but in Philly, they have precincts, and they used to have the precincts that had little jail there. They would arrest them there, process them there, and then if they had to be held, they'd take them down to the Roundhouse, which was a giant round building, the Roundhouse, and they had cells in there, and they keep them. But then, for whatever reason, they took that decision to arrest and whatnot to book them away from the district commanders, and everybody goes to the Roundhouse. So what Fast Eddie Rendell, a Democrat, what he did was he told all the district commanders to tell their cops that there were certain crimes they did not want to be arrested. This is back in what, 90s? They didn't want them
Well,
to
what happened, Richie, was not all the police districts had the camera set up for you to see a judge. So they would take you down the Roundhouse because that's where
but now, no, Jimmy, I'm talking about that is true, but I'm talking about now they don't keep you at the district anymore. You go to the Roundhouse. But what happened was there were certain crimes that they didn't want to be to charge arrests, because I had a friend who was mugged, and he said,
Richie, I think the Roundhouse is defunct. I think they stopped using that.
Jim, I'm talking about back when Ed Rendell did
that.
Okay. So
right.
Pay attention. I'm asking questions later.
I've been in the Roundhouse.
So what happened? Yeah, I know I was too, but on the other side of things. But here's the thing, So what happened was he told his cops, don't charge for certain things, and this guy was mugged, and he says to the cop, well, how do I get a report? Because the cops originally would give you a copy of the report they just wrote up. Then they said, oh, you got to pay $5 for it, and they'll mail it to you. And so now this cop said, oh, there's not going to be a report. He goes, why not? And he goes, well, we're not going to do a report. He's like, why not? And the cop said, well, you're going to have to talk to the district commander about that. And it was because Rendell said don't charge. Now, why did he do that? Because he wanted to make the crime rate go down so that the GOP, when they did their vetting of the city, would go, okay, the crime rate's like, okay, it's not worse than anything else, so we'll have the convention there, because the convention brought money to the city. People were coming there, hotels, stores, shopping, all that bullshit, right? So even back then in the 90s, Fast Eddie Rendell was saying we're going to lower the crime rate, not by locking up criminals and keeping them there, but by literally lowering the crime rate, by not reporting crime. And that's what Saudi was just talking about.
Yeah. What's up, Pax Max? Seen you in there earlier. So if you haven't subbed to my channel, here's my channel again. This is the channel. I got a 2-week strike, so I'm using this for now. So sub to that channel. I'm using it temporarily. Temporarily.
Get rid of that. I want to keep that. Let's see what else I can do. Where else am I going to go? Oh, wait a minute. Lou Valentino's live right now. He has a thing out. Something much worse is coming for New York City.
Yeah, he's very hyperbolic.
Yeah, I think because he wants to bring more people. He's a good guy, but he gets a lot of shit wrong.
I know.
He's a good guy, you know what I mean? He's a good guy, but he admitted a lot of shit too in his live streams.
Rich, once they go hyperbolic,
huh?
Once they go hyperbolic, they're trying too hard to get views. That's what.
Right. Right. Well,
People
I
get
don't think
tired
he
of
was.
that
I
shit.
don't think he was too much hyperbolic as he was doing clickbait titles, clickbait headlines. You know,
Hyperbolic.
it's not hyperbolic.
Fuck it ain't.
No, it's not.
He's exaggerating or completely making up.
No, Jim,
some bullshit.
clickbait is not hyperbolic. Clickbait is saying one thing and it's completely something else when you get inside. That's not hyperbolic. Jeremiah subbed. He subbed you, Jim.
Oh, did he? Thanks. Dang it. Come on.
Oh, so did Linda. I didn't. Not yet.
You didn't?
No.
You were on the channel.
Yeah, but I didn't sub it. You're going to have to text it to me. I'm not typing all that shit out.
You gotta type nothing. You just hit the link.
Where?
Well,
I'm in StreamYards. I got to go into the other. All right, I got it.
You got to go into YouTube.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, I am subscribed. Oh, what do you know? You got that cat with a dead mouse there.
Yeah.
No shit.
He just killed it. He's out there smoking a cigarette. And he fucking killed it.
Yeah, they're having problems with their subways, and the crime's so fucking bad there. And I saw a CNN reporter doing a story, I think it was last night. And I mean, he's going on about how there's gangs down there that are shooting people left and right. And the governor comes in and says, okay, so now we made this new law that if you're a felon, you can't go in the subway, period. And I'm like, who the fuck's going to follow that law? Because nothing will happen to him. And the reporter, I swear to Christ, the reporter was more upset that the criminals that go down there, that they were jumping the turnstile. He cared more that they weren't putting the token in and getting in there for free than he did that they were robbing and shooting people. That's like, fiery, but mostly peaceful. With the fucking blaze going on behind him.
That was forget his name.
Yeah, I forget him too. But that's what
Bashir.
The black guy who did that?
Yeah, Bashir or some shit.
Yeah. No. You're thinking of somebody else. That Veshy guy, he's a real pain in the ass. Eve ate the apple, yet it's perpetual.
We're going to change Eve's name to Carol.
Don't start. Let me see what else I can play. Ooh. Oh, good Lord. Dylan's back. Oh, Otis Menz. I was wondering, where the hell is he? He's on locals a lot more now because, he's going to get kicked off here. But he has celebrating of Dylan Mulvaney, celebrating day 730 of being a girl. I don't want to play it because I don't want to get in trouble.
What do you mean?
He's on like his fourth channel too. They kick
He's
him
not
off
gonna,
every.
You're not going to get in trouble for showing his video. I've never gotten in trouble for showing a video yet. If YouTube has it up, then it's fine.
Yeah, but I'm a conservative.
Well, yeah. I'm telling you, it's never happened.
Can you imagine if those rioters were wearing MAGA hats? Oh, dude. Seriously. Yeah. But guys, the Democrats now are beyond trying to hide the fact that they're gaslighting you. They don't care anymore. Animal Farm. Yeah, I've read them all. The Newspeak. There's one out. Linda, there's one out. It's called 1984 Julia. and it's about Winston's girlfriend, and it's 1984. It's like fan fiction. It's 1984 from her perspective. I heard it's really good too. There was another one. It was a guy, a lawyer in Kensington, Jim. He wrote a, Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand. He wrote a book called Atlas Snubbed, and it's fan fiction. And that was pretty good. Some of these are really good. I think World War III already started. We just haven't seen. We haven't seen.
The
explode
preludes.
yet. We haven't seen it explode yet.
Certainly out there.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, Linda, that the J6 people went in to the Capitol and they were observing the velvet ropes as they were taking selfies of themselves. Yeah, fiery but mostly peaceful. Omar Jimenez. That was his name, Jim. Omar Jimenez.
What, the guy that
Jimenez.
Yeah.
Jimenez, yeah.
the guy? Okay, so the guy that said mostly peaceful protest with fire in the background. That was not his name was I forget. What was his name, Bobbity? Bobbity, what was the reporter's name that said mostly peaceful protests while there were fires behind him? I think
his name was what he's saying it is, Jim. I'm
not
going to show you a
Omar.
picture of him right now, Jim.
Not Omar.
That's the guy.
No, that's not him.
Jim, that's the guy.
Not him.
Yeah, it is. He had a hat
Not
on.
him.
That's
Not
him.
him.
Yeah, it is.
Rich, the famous reporting of the reporter stand in front of buildings saying it's mostly peaceful protesting with fire in the background was not him. It was not him. He may have said it too, but that's not the famous one. What was his name, Bobbity? Oh God. He's this smug fucking prick. He's either on MSNBC or CNN. I think he's on MSNBC. What the fuck is his name? He's a foreigner. He has a British type accent.
It's this guy, Jim.
Fuck is
Here.
his...
I think it's this guy right there.
Who?
That's him.
No, it's not.
Jim, fiery but mostly peaceful protest after police. He's the guy who said it, Jim.
He may have done that, but what
He's
I'm
the guy
saying
that
to
said
you
it.
is he's not the one that catapulted it around the world. He's not.
Jim, he's the guy that said it. I've seen the video, Jim. He's the one who said it. He said it.
I just can't remember this dickhead's name.
What is it? Check out That's Life, but Not As We Know It. Channel, recent vid. The Committee of 300. Ooh. Let's see.
Jesus Christ, Bobbity. Velshi, that's right. Velshi was the one, right. Velshi was the one that put that shit on the map, Rich, not that guy. Telling you.
Well, I seen this guy say it. I don't know what this guy's name is, though.
Well, Rich, it was like a mantra. They were all saying it, but Velshi's the one that put it on the map.
Well, I don't know who that is.
No,
and Jimmy, this is the only guy I've ever seen say it. I don't know anybody else who ever said it like that. Fiery, but mostly peaceful.
Yeah, Nana said. Yeah, that's what else Velshi said. There have been fires.
Yeah, there have been fire. Yeah, dude.
But
That
it's a
whole
mostly
summer,
peaceful.
That whole summer was our 1984. You were like, what in the fuck? And remember, during that time, we didn't know that there was going to be a January 6th and that they were going to completely ignore everything they did in the summer of love.
Christ,
We didn't
Bobby,
know
you
that
can
shit.
Bobby can crack a joke in a heartbeat, but he couldn't come up with Velshie's name.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up, Linda. What was it called? The Committee of 300. I'm going to find that. Let me see. That's life, but not as we know it. Okay, let's see. There it is. Found it. Hold on. That I'm going to download. There we go. All right, I got it, Lynn. It's like 13 minutes long, but all the usual suspects. The Committee of 300 is a purported secret society or group that is composed of influential individuals from various fields, including politics, finance, business. Sounds like the Great Reset people, and intelligence. What was that thing I just heard? Yeah, it turns out, the pipe bomb. Well, and the pipe bomb thing that was at the DNC building, they just found it. The CIA had bomb squad people 2 blocks away. Now, I didn't know the CIA had access to bomb units. Like, did they have bomb units? The CIA. Why does the CIA have bomb units? And the CIA is not supposed to do anything inside the United States, but they had bomb disposal people 2 blocks away from the DNC. I think it was, this is like the biggest scandal ever, Jim. I think it was in case there was no riot and nothing happened. They wanted to be able to say, we found a bomb. These MAGA Republicans put a bomb outside the DNC building. And Kamala Harris, who was supposed to be at the certification in the Capitol, she wasn't there, but she lied. And the DNC's lying, saying she was there the whole time. No, she was inside the DNC headquarters. She was not there. And it shows she was in the Capitol, but she left at 11:30. They just released video evidence that she left at 11:30 in the morning, and she went straight to the DNC headquarters, and she was in there. Now, why the fuck was she in there, and why won't she admit that she was in there? She denies she was there. It's
all right,
weird.
Richie, I got to get out of here. I'm too tired.
All right, see you.
I'm ready to pass the fuck out. I'll see you, everybody.
Yeah, all right, man. Later. You know what? It's been 3 hours. So you know what, guys? I got to roll myself. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. I'm going to try to do this every Friday. I'm going to try to get people to come in like Mark did, or maybe I'll bring Mark back. I don't know that many people yet. But thank you, everybody, for being here. I got to go myself. I got a few things I got to attend to that I should have done hours ago, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. See you all. 7. Let me do my 07. It's a shame Commander wasn't here. I was looking for him. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm out. Have a great weekend. See ya.